Go Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Yao Mean of Revolution. ICE agents ambushed, shot at. Wow. Before we get into that, be sure to wipe your feet. That means hit the like button. You in the House of Revolution. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform, y'all. Well, the illegals and they co-conspirators is out of control. And all they participate in slave trading, too. Let's get into the contents. Luke.
FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for a suspect after an ICE raid turned violent. The reward is for this man, who they say fired at federal agents during an immigration.
Whoa, look at this illegal terrorist shooting at the police. So we know he's shooting at police officers. We know he didn't commit all kind of crimes to the regular civilians. And this is what he willing to do to federal agents. Just imagine the terror this young man been causing in the community.
Immigration raid on a California farm. This comes after shooting incidents at two DHS facilities in Texas in recent days. Here's ABC's chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky.
Disgusting.
Tonight, the FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for the capture of this man, who authorities say is seen on video firing a gun at federal law enforcement agents during the chaotic immigration raid on a cannabis farm northwest of Los Angeles. ICE agents clashed with protesters and deployed tear gas.
Slaves working for them now too, children.
And smoke canisters. Today, relatives of some of the workers rushed to the gates of the farm to tell those still hiding inside it was safe to come out. This man ushered into a car. Authorities say they arrested about 200 undocumented immigrants at two cannabis farms and found 10 minors. Agents posed with them for this photo. Whoa. See, that's why I'm glad we're going to go to some real... This is fake news. You know, they trying to gloss over, these are called slaves. These kids are forced to work there, pay off debts. You know, maybe they get to, grow up in America. Maybe they get shipped back. But right now they owe the coyotes. And you got to work on this marijuana farm. So they got to get their weed out there. So they got to work on this marijuana farm. This is absolutely disgusting. These kids don't want to be in that working. And see, this is what the Democrats be talking about. You got to help them get it. These the jobs you wanted for these kids, Democrats. So, 4 protesters are now facing charges, and the search for the man in the video follows a string of violent incidents targeting those carrying out the administration's mass deportation agenda. Tonight, the FBI is issuing a $25,000 reward for this man, who it believes was part of an alleged July 4th plot to ambush correction officers at an ICE detention facility in Texas. 11 others have also been charged. Officials at the detention center say they were lured outside by fireworks aimed at the building and then faced gunfire. One local officer was wounded.
An assailant who was positioned
have also been charged.
Now, let's take a good look. Dude. This is a white person. That's a white person. White person. You might not be white. Most of these are white people. What the hell are y'all doing? You see? Always starting the chaos. You see? These are the same people that were starting the chaos doing George Floyd. We came out for George Floyd. Yeah, hear your ass again. You just love chaos. We came out for George Floyd. Just you can break windows and shoot at police and just rob, loot, and pillage and plunder. Look at these people. Planning on ambushing ICE agents all over the country. What the hell are these people doing that? That's crazy. But the news, they just want to share these faces, then move on. No, let's dig into the background of these people. What the hell are they doing? And what type of time are they going to get for threatening to kill ICE agents all over the country? There ain't been no slap on the wrist. I don't think so. This ain't no probation neither. No probation for these people. Absolutely not. They was talking about assassinating federal agents for the illegals. No, they got to get stiff punishment.
Charged. Officials at the detention center say they were lured outside by fireworks aimed at the building and then faced gunfire. One local officer was wounded.
They don't
An
got
assailant
no. They don't
who was
got no.
positioned in the
they
woods.
love anarchy. These people love anarchy. A lot of these motherfuckers told we came up for George Floyd. These people just loved anarchy. They didn't give a damn about the cause, because we talking about the cause, they be down for black lineage-based reparations. Well, see, they just ain't no anarchy in that. Yeah, some of these people are just anarchists. They just want to see the system fall, collapse, they way.
Shot him in the neck area.
This Customs and Border Protection office in McAllen, Texas, also came under fire. A gunman was fatally shot by authorities after he pockmarked the building with dozens of rounds.
Now, see, we almost lost one of our ICE agents. See what I mean? We ain't got time for games with this shit. I mean, we being too nice to these people. Why? Why is we letting this shit happen? This is America. The greatest country in the world, the most powerful country in the world. Why is we letting these people come here and disrespect us and hurt our officers like that? They pow at him 20 times. One hit him in the neck. And they caught him unarmed. They ambushed him. He didn't even know it was coming. They snuck up on him. Those are terrorists. What's up? Let's go. No more nice guy. I don't want to hear nothing about processing. I don't want to hear none of that shit. Time to go. That's it. By any means necessary. It's time for them now to F around and find out. Now, they F around already. Now, let them find out. Let them find out. We're not going to wait until the next one get hurt. Now, this guy made it. They try to really take him down. 20 rounds on him, and only one hit him in the neck. Tell me God wasn't with him. Okay, let's go, because these people are demons. They are terrorists, and they got to go, and they have no right to be in our country protesting at all. You don't demand my government to keep you in our country. That shit don't work that way. It's time to go. Now that they did this, you got to get rid of all of them now, Trump. Everybody got to go, Trump. Everybody. Ain't nobody being broken away from their family. Their family could go with them. But he almost was taken away from his family, though. See, they don't care about that, do they? They don't care about him almost getting taken away from his family, though, right? Come on now, let's go. Let's go. I'm a real leader. I got that in me. I'm a leader.
Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, man. If you agree with this young woman right here, if you agree with her, put a 1, put a fist, put a strength emoji in the chat, put a heart in the chat. If you agree with her, yes, these people gotta go. They gotta go. And the people that perpetrated this crime, they need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Fullest extent of the law. Fortunately, the ICE agent is still with us. He's still among the living, fortunately. But yeah, these people, they need to be dealt with. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. Let's keep going.
And 10 people are facing federal charges of attempted murder this morning. This comes after prosecutors say an Alvarado police officer and correctional officers were attacked Friday night at an ICE detention facility. Trevor Sohaki is there live this morning in Alvarado this morning with the very latest on this. And Trevor, authorities are calling this.
How disgusting the Democrats are. MSNBC is, CNN is, bro, because they aided and abetted in this and set the tone in the environment. You got to go to these small little channels and just get this story about these group of white people ambushing ICE agents and plotting to do it all over the goddamn country. These liberals. But had any of these people named been Akbar, Muhammad, and they said they was doing it in the name of Allah, that's all they be talking about. Oh, these are terrorists too, but they just white terrorists. but they anarchists. They don't give a shit about no illegals. That's what make it more crazy. They just want chaos.
This an ambush. What else have you learning?
Yeah, that's right, Carmen. It's still very tense out here. We've seen multiple ICE agents roaming around. They've checked our credentials, and they don't want us to show you this on camera, but just over to my right, there's an armored truck over there, as well as multiple vehicles that are kind of protecting the entrance to this ICE detention facility behind me, making sure that everyone who is here is supposed to be here, and no one can get in unless they are allowed to be here. And that's because officials say this was a planned attack on ICE agents intended to kill ICE agents. They say this was no peaceful protest. There were shots fired. Now, the acting North Texas U.S. Attorney Nancy Larson, she says there are about a dozen or so people who came to this Prairieland Detention Center in Alvarado on Friday night. She says they were dressed in black military-style clothes and used fireworks and vandalized property to lure agents into a trap. Authorities allege a suspect in a wooded area near the center, then shot an Alvarado police officer.
In the picture like that, they'll show you a picture. That's why he's not splashed. That's why he's not splashed, because they don't want people. That is terrorism, man. And they attack law enforcement. Even Trump going easy. Even Trump and the Republicans going easy on them because they got a soft spot for white terrorists. That's just the truth. And they hate to use the word terrorist behind this type of attack because they already know what come with that. Oh, it's gonna get terrorist federal time then. That's crazy.
Officer in the neck, and a second suspect fired 20 to 30 bullets at officers who had stepped outside. Investigators found AR-style rifles at the scene, and the defendants were found with body armor.
Violence, threats of violence, and attempts of vandalism at our ICE facilities will not deter our officers from fulfilling their duties. Within ICE alone, our officers and agents are facing a 700% increase in assaults.
Yeah, it's a sad situation, man. It's sad. ICE agents doing their job. I'm glad that in the new bill, there's going to be more ICE agents on the daggone streets. I'm also glad that we're going to have more border patrol agents, in our southern as well as in our northern border. We need this. We voted for this. We voted for closed border. We voted for one of the largest deportations to ever happen in our nation. We voted for this. We're not for mass amnesty. We need these people to leave our nation, and we need them to leave immediately. And all these Antifa whack jobs out there, they need to be, prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Let's keep going.
And if so, who is organizing this violence and who?
So there has been a series of really disturbing attacks against immigration officers lately. Some of them described by officials as, quote, planned ambushes. According to DHS, assaults on immigration enforcement officers are up almost 700% when compared to the same time last year. For more on this, we are joined by Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt. Live with.
How many of you guys want to see these politicians, the AOCs of the world, the Rashida Tlaibs of the world, who are the Maxine Waters of the world, who are telling their constituents to go out here and cause harm to ICE agents? How many people want to see, some of these politicians who are out here spewing this vile rhetoric? How many of you guys want to see them being held accountable for this?
More. Hi, Jonathan.
Hey, Bill, let's get first to the ambush in Alvarado, Texas, which appears to be the most coordinated of all the recent attacks on ICE and Border Patrol agents and facilities. That attack began with at least 10 people, all dressed in what investigators describe as black military-style clothing, shooting fireworks at the Prairie Detention Center. Around 10 minutes later, one or two of them broke off from the main group and began spray painting the facility and vehicles parked there with words like traitor and other slogans.
Everybody was taken to jail peacefully. Everybody was taken to jail. It's crazy.
A police officer arrived responding to a 911 call, and at that point, one of the group, who had apparently hidden in trees near the facility, opened fire, hitting the officer in the neck, while another attacker, also across the street, fired dozens of rounds at officers from the facility.
It was a planned ambush with the intent to kill ICE corrections officers. Make no mistake, this was not a so-called peaceful protest. It was indeed an ambush.
10 people have now been charged with attempted murder. As well as weapons and body armor, police also discovered anarchist literature and flyers in one of the vehicles used by the attackers and a Faraday bag, a type of bag that blocks phone signals and which is commonly used by criminals to prevent law enforcement tracking their locations. Separately, investigators are also looking into the background of a man shot dead by Border Patrol agents after he opened fire on them at a facility in McAllen, Texas yesterday. And one of the big questions, Bill, yet to be answered is whether all of these attacks against ICE and Border Patrol are entirely separate incidents or whether there is some form of coordination behind them. And if so, who is organizing this violence and who might be funding it? Bill?
Yep.
Yeah, this is ridiculous, man. And there needs to be a full-fledged investigation as to who's funding these organizations. We need to get an understanding if this is a coordinated attack, because if it is, it's even worse than, it's already bad. But now we're start talking about full-fledged domestic terrorism, right here in our nation by our own citizens. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is crazy.
They don't call white people domestic terrorists. They don't do it. No matter what they do, the actions, you clearly see that's terrorism, bro. Clearly see that's terrorism. Coordinated terrorism. And what's so crazy, they're doing it for a political reason. That's the definition of terrorism. They have political intentions. They are carrying this out on behalf of politics, democratic politics. They really don't want to dig too deep. But even Fox News, they handling this story with kid gloves. Boy, let that have been the new Black Panther Party. They'll be talking about black identity, terrorist extremists, anti-Americans, and all that. Even, see, because deep down inside, they already know that's one step too far, labeling them white terrorists, bro.
A lot of the far left politicians have put a battery in these people's backs.
The shooter in Texas who was targeting ICE agents was a 27-year-old man. His name was Ryan Lewis Mosqueda. He was heavily armed with tactical gear and extra ammo in his backpack. A Border Patrol worker and 2 other officers were shot. But sure, tell me how the people who voted for Trump are supposedly the violent ones, because I don't see us ambushing federal agents. I don't see us supporting criminals who broke national security laws and crossed our borders illegally. But y'all cheer on that daily. DHS has released a report that shows that assaults on ICE agents has gone up by 500%, with coordinated attacks in Texas and LA, and yet the media keeps calling ICE the villains. They're enforcing federal laws while your side wants them literally unalived. This is not activism, and I'm pretty sure we have people already defending what this man did. They're just going to keep proceeding to call MAGA fascists, even though you don't see us attacking ICE agents. Nope, all we hear is crickets from the left. But sure, keep calling us the extremists.
Yeah, no, pot calling the kettle black, right? Last time I checked, is those of us on this side of things, we're not going out and attacking anybody. Now, they said that, straight heterosexual Christian men, and they threw the white term in there as well, are the biggest threat to our nation, but that doesn't look like that is the case. Especially what we're seeing right now.
What the hell you talking about? You put that, if I put that picture back, hold on, boy, because don't do that, brother. Let's not do that, brother. Let's not do that. Let's not do that, brother. We can't sit here and give them an out. They got it right when what they say. They're just part of the problem. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they in there. They the leaders of the group. White, heterosexual. Are you saying that these are gay men? What the hell are you talking about? They were pretty spot on about what they were saying about that, brother. So let's not do that. That's not the problem is that's not the only problem here. It's not racist, bigoted, angry white men. It's when they try to act like the Democrats try to pretend like that's the problem. No, I don't know that.
Definitely not those of us that are followers of Christ. Let's just keep it real.
Listen, I got to tell you, if you want to have the fight, I'll have the fight. Okay? If you want to try to tell me that you believe that you somehow represent something more pure, when if you're on the left, you just had 10 young people try to kill ICE officers because their policies suck, because the way they're doing it is wrong, and this is something you want to get behind and say, yeah, well, but what? What are you, nuts? If you want to have a fight, I'm here for it. okay? Because these fringe people on either side, you want somebody to take you on, I'm here for it, because you're killing us with your crazy. What happened with these kids, these young people, I'm old, everybody's young to me. This was planned, it was organized, they baited, they picked a date, they were heavily harmed. I'm telling you, this could just have easily been an ISIS operation, and we would want to kill an entire country again. And yet now, this is no big deal. This is no big deal.
Yeah, mainstream media is not picking this up. They're not calling these people threats, to democracy. They're not calling these people threats to the nation. They're not calling them domestic terrorists. Mainstream media is doing none of this. None of it. If anything, you have some folks that are actually cheering these people on. I mean, it's insane. It is insane, and these people need to be prosecuted. I don't know if this would consist of a federal crime, but I sure hope it is. I sure hope it is. And they need to send these people to the Supermax.
You crazy?
I know
It's
you can't send them
a federal crime. Those are federal officers. Those are federal officers. You shoot at a postman. Yeah, that's a federal crime. Those are federal officers. That's a federal crime, terrorist crime that they just committed. Goddamn.
Send them out to CCOT down in El Salvador, but let's send they behind out to that Colorado Supermax. Let's send them out there. No, they get 23 and 1. Let's send them there. All of them. None of them should get a break. None of them.
Who were these suspects who were fired, who actually fired the shots and were later arrested? Who were they, Tom?
Look, they're your typical protesters that go from protesters to criminals. The attack on ICE officers, you've covered it many times, is up nearly 700% now. We were talking 500% a couple weeks ago, so it continues. The rhetoric against the men and women of ICE is skyrocketing, especially by members of Congress. We have senators, we have Congress people that compare ICE to the Nazis, compare ICE to racists, and it just continues. So the public thinks, well, if a member of Congress can attack us.
You act like a bigot. Bitch, those are terrorists. He just said those sometimes protesters, I know why you calling them that, bro, because you look like your son, look like your nephew, look like your neighbor. This is disgusting, bro. Those damn terrorists heavily armed, baited your agents out and try to kill them. And this is the move. I bet y'all took them out for all you can eat buffet before they went to jail. That's crazy. And they made sure they, got to go by the bank, make y'all got some money. It's going to be hungry in that county jail. You probably let them stop by the ATM and get money and all that type of shit.
ICE, why can't we? So the rhetoric has to stop. Or it's a matter of time for someone to, one of the ICE officers goes down or a criminal goes down. But we already see an officer go down.
To be clear, so these were American citizens? These weren't illegals who opened fire?
No. As far as the investigation, I want to get ahead of the local investigation on this, but they appear to be agitators. People that are...
why don't you just put their picture up on the screen again? Are they Europe? Oh, are they from Germany? Are they from France? Where are they from? Are they Ukrainians? See the game they playing? American citizens? Oh, what a joke. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself, Fox News.
Protesting ICE operations, damaging ICE property, want to attack ICE officers.
Yeah, these are American citizens. It looks like the majority of them anyway. American citizens. And they need to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, man. I know there's an investigation. I would assume that there may be some additional information that will come out in the very near future. But yeah, they need to be put on full blast. And then you get this clown. And he's just one of a multitude of woke liberal mayors out there. And, this guy comes out here and says that he's going to continue to aid illegal immigrants.
And division. Look, we are a welcoming city ordinance. Our local police department will not ever cooperate with ICE. Whatever their constitutional authority is. And division. Look, we are a welcoming city ordinance. Our local police department will not ever cooperate with ICE.
That right there just goes to show you that these people care more about illegal immigrants pushing their agenda. Obviously, the agenda is to make all of these people legal residents, with the ability to vote. So they basically own these people almost in perpetuity because they can say that, hey, we're the party that allowed you to stay here. We're the ones that gave you all the free stuff. That's who the Democrats are. They got to have somebody under their thumb at all times. They have to. And this particular character, Mitchell Frost, I think that's his name, he basically says the quiet part out loud.
To my Republican colleagues who say, I don't want any undocumented people in this country, I actually agree with you. So let's document every single one of them. Speedy path to citizenship. That's how we fix this problem. But this terror campaign of having masked people rolling up in vans, unmarked vans, grabbing students off of the street. But we also have to talk about the agents themselves that are carrying this out. If you have any decency, quit now. Go do something else. Because just doing what you were told has been the justification for some of the worst horrors and crimes against humanity in the history of not just this nation, but this world. And we're seeing this unfold right before us.
Yeah, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is their plan. They want mass amnesty for illegal immigrants. They let over 11 to 30 million people, and they want these people to have the ability to vote, which essentially would fundamentally change our nation. Now, what we do know is that with mass amnesty, I would assume that a large swath of those folks are going to vote for far left, liberal, progressive policies that are going to harm the nation, going to harm most of the people, and would just fundamentally change everything that this country is about. And we got to do everything that we can to fight against that. We got to keep that from happening. And that's why the mass deportations, it's needed. And that's also the reason why people like Michelle Wu up in Boston, Mayor Brandon Johnson, Karen Bass, the list goes on. That's the reason why they're fighting against it. And that's a lot of the reason why, your House representatives on the Democrat side of things, they're fighting against it because they understand that that is their voter base. That's their future right there. They know that Black people in America, for the most part, are going to get to a point to where it's going to be split right down the middle. They don't 100% own the Black vote. They know this. And this is the replacement. They brought the replacement in. They allowed them in. Folks just need to realize that. The sooner the better. But I'm here for ICE doing their job. I'm here for the people who are trying to keep ICE from doing their job to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And especially the people that ambushed and attacked ICE agents. They need to be dealt with, and they need to be dealt with swiftly, thoroughly, and with some of the harshest sentences that could possibly be levied upon them. Seriously. But I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family. Join us Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for ARP in the morning. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
And they banged on the windows, and then they cried victim when ICE drove forward. This isn't protest, y'all. This is a nationwide coordinated attack on law enforcement, from foreign flags in California to Antifa graffiti in Portland. ICE agents being ambushed, assaulted, and hunted. And while they bleed, Democrats are making sure their attackers walk free. Let me show you the part of America media censors.
How do you know it's ICE? Yeah. Wow. Wow, this is fucking intimidating. Oh my God. They're literally taking someone, they're trying to, oh my God. I'm serious. Seriously fucked up. Oh my God. Oh no, there are more people coming. Oh wow. No, they're no, this just, I don't know what the fuck's going on. What? There are people getting in front of the cars. Oh my God, they're running over the people in the cars. I do. Yeah, and the problem is they're trying to do it downtown on a crowded street. Oh wow. No, someone's going to get hurt. There are at least 20 people in front of the car. Someone's going to get run over. Wow, someone's hanging off the car. Oh my God.
Nah, we're going to stop it right there now. They mobbed the van, dug to it, screamed at it, and then had the nerve to act shocked when it moved. ICE didn't ram anyone. They were surrounded. But that's the part the media obviously won't say. That mob didn't want justice. They wanted chaos, and they wanted it on camera. Now, let's zoom out. This was in Chicago, but this right here, the clip I'm showing now, is happening in California.
This is happening at Wood and Laguna, and you now see the military vehicles advancing despite those protesters trying to make a stance and trying to stop the military vehicle from continuing on. And there's cameras rolling, cell phone cameras rolling. And this group of people are really trying to get this military vehicle to stop, and it doesn't appear that it will. It is continuing to push forward, and now the people are moving away from in front of that military vehicle, which is a good thing. We don't want to see anyone get hurt, but again, you see this grouping of military vehicles advancing toward the federal agents.
Man, arrest
further down
their
on the
ass.
street.
Arrest them. What are y'all doing?
And now we see that there's some water or something else being thrown at some of the military vehicles driving by the trucks. The protesters very clearly upset by what they're seeing, trying to intervene on behalf of the people who may be detained at some point here.
Yeah, man. Mexican and Guatemalan flags flying in the face of federal agents. You know what that tells me? It ain't about immigration. This is about replacing the authority of the United States with globalist identity politics. Democrats call it compassion. I'll call it invasion. With a PR team. I said this before. But we just getting started.
Can you follow the Constitution of the United States of America? Okay, I'm walking home from ICE to go get medical supplies and safety gear. They're being extra aggressive prematurely, which usually means that pattern will continue on through this night. So that means everyone in South Portland is at risk tonight to be poisoned by tear gas and whatever the green shit is. If you have a loved one that lives in South Portland in these apartments down here, they need to evacuate. They need to have a gas mask and a decontamination kit, because the gas is getting into people's apartment. The gas and kill. Like, there's an old folks home here. There's a hospital here. It will definitely cause respiratory distress in some. They don't care. They want to hurt people.
Wow. They want to hurt people. You see, this is what happens when you let Antifa fester. Okay? They made Portland a playground for extremism, for lack of a better word. They tagged F ICE on government buildings, then cry about tear gas like the Constitution was violated. Nah, you, my friend, you violated every law and boundary this country was built on. And while they were painting graffiti, guess what others was doing? Throwing punches.
ID, where's your ID? ID. Where's my ID? ID.
And tonight, this video of a violent arrest in Ontario. We're told this man, who may be a gardener, saw ICE and ran into the office of a surgical center before this incident. Employees would not tell us anything on the record, but they did say that everyone was shaken over the encounter.
My fault, y'all. Well, let that sink in, y'all. Hospital staff physically fought ICE agents, not protesters, medical employees. Locking doors, grabbing suspects, line of police, call it a kidnapping like it was some Netflix thriller or something. You know what the left calls this? Community defense. Now watch how ICE is supposed to operate when the mob isn't present.
So am I gonna get paid today? Mira, se llevan otro. Primero mira. Pero voy chequeando la mano. Una multa por cada uno, a la compañía,
But y'all see it. No drama. No chaos. You ain't got people screaming and kicking and pulling on cars and all this other stuff. ICE comes in. They are making their arrests, and you're seeing them, what it looks like they are walking out. That's how simple it is when Democrats and their foot soldiers aren't weaponizing emotion and doing that for political points. But when they are, this is what it looks like.
District of Texas. Great to have you with us today. Obviously, this is a case that has gripped the attention of this country with these ICE agents under assault and attack. Tell us a little bit about this case, where it stands now, and the charges that you are bringing against these individuals.
Good afternoon, Martha. Moments ago, we just charged an additional suspect named Benjamin Song with 6 counts in a federal complaint and have issued an arrest warrant. The counts mirror exactly what we charged the other individuals in the first complaint, which is 3 counts of attempted murder of a law enforcement officer, as well as 3 related gun offenses. Of course, he is facing up to life in prison. Just a little bit of background on
they know what they're doing. They don't want to set a precedent as labeling white individuals who commit these acts terrorists, because they're gonna have to label a bunch of them like that, because they do this type of BS all the damn time. It's nothing new. If their name was Muhammad and they was doing this on behalf of Allah, they would absolutely, and they're doing it behind political reasons. It's disgusting, bro. Just go to show you, man. They pulling their punches. They can absolutely give all these people life and send them to where Larry Hoover was just at. That's a fact.
On him, Mr. Song was a former Marine reservist. He was other than honorably discharged from that service in 2016.
So in terms of these charges, and when we look at this, you have to ask the question about whether or not this is a domestic terrorist group based on their collaboration, and whether there is a potential for expanding these charges to include conspiracy to kill federal officers. Can you tell me if you're considering expanding these charges in either of those directions?
Well, the case is still under investigation, as you can well imagine. For instance, we just leveled new charges against another suspect. We are looking at all aspects, but according to the complaint, these individuals are charged under an aiding and abetting theory, which is probably the broadest theory of criminal liability that there is.
You never say that.
So
If Muhammad, would you? No, they say yes, there was a terroristic act, and they get charged with terrorism. Well, we charged them with something that. Oh man, it's more people locked up. It's people locked up for terroristic actions for less. Damn, Jeff Ford from Chicago, they charged that man with terrorism. He was plotting to bring down the airline. Yes, he was plotting, trying to get some money for Gaddafi. That's crazy, but. Hit him with the terrorist act. You know, he didn't shoot at no police officers, ambush him and the Peace Stones, and he got hit with terrorism charges. Come on, Panthers got hit with terrorism charges. Come on, why not these guys?
this individual that you just mentioned, Mr. Song, is he in custody?
No. Mr. Song is at large, and we certainly would like to have any information from the public that we could if they know his whereabouts, and they would dial 1-800-CALL-FBI. But I do caution you that Mr. Song is presumed to be armed and dangerous. Obviously, you can come to that conclusion based on the nature of the offense, but also, Martha, because he is responsible for at least the purchase of 4 of the firearms, 2 of the AR-style rifles that were found abandoned on the scene.
Do you believe there's any connection to what happened in McAllen? Is there anything on the social media that shows coordination in those 2 attacks?
Well, we don't have any information to share about that at this time, but of course the investigation is continuing.
All right. Nancy Larson, good luck with your investigation. Thank you very much for sharing what you could so far, and we'll be following the case. Thank you.
No.
So coming up, why making America healthy again may be more important than ever. Keeping It Real podcast host Jillian.
Anywho, this wasn't a riot, man. This was an ambush on a federal detention center. And, you know, we've been following this story ever since the break of it. But Tim's charged, one still out there, former Marine turned domestic terrorist. And yet Biden, Harris, and the activist left still won't say Antifa by name. Oh, well. They rather call Trump supporters extremists. Well, ICE is dodging the bullets. And the public, they've been trained to interfere. Now, this is what brainwashing looks like. People don't know the law, but they'll step in front of a badge like they're auditioning for some sort of viral clip. Get back.
They've been real nice with these people, bro. I'm trying to tell you, that shit crazy. We don't never get so many warnings before they get to shooting and beating and spraying. This is crazy. They have got a hard on to do that shit back. These are illegals. And they shooting at you too. They man, come on, that's crazy, bro.
Get back doesn't work anymore because the left taught them that breaking the law is brave. And now, some are calling ICE agents to be executed.
So, did you guys hear about the ICE agents that finally bit off more than they can chew? And some good American patriots showed up and started putting them in the dirt. And I mean actually in the dirt. One patriot was deleted. One ICE agent was wounded in the neck. I hope God has wrath upon him. But if you want to start dressing like a terrorist, and you want to stop identifying yourself as a law enforcement agency, then we're going to treat you like a foreign terrorist. We're going to shoot you. We're going to wipe the floor with you.
Oh wow!
So, did you guys hear about
this man? Just said ICE deserves to,
and they're gonna give him community. They're gonna give him community service. That's it.
put in
We're
the
gonna get
dirt.
community service for that. We tired of this shit.
Imagine
all them people.
if someone said that about teachers or trans activists or migrants, illegals. You will be banned, y'all. Arrested and blacklisted by dinner time. They said about ICE, you get TikToks boosted and views and all that and Twitter trends and all that. But these Democrats, they act like it never happened. They're going to act just like that. But they don't ignore it. Some are enabling it.
One of the things that we're trying to tackle with this enforcement actions gone wild is so many federal agents without any clear marks on their uniform, right? You don't know what department or agency they represent. They're allowed to cover up, mask themselves. And so there's no way to identify them as a federal agent. For the sake of the fear and concern in community and for the safety of the officers themselves, because when you're getting attacked, you think you're being kidnapped and you don't know who it is that may be attacking you. A natural instinct or urge is to fight back, you know, and so want to present this, it's a bill that I just introduced along with Senator Booker from New Jersey to require the same type of no mask and identification markings on a uniform that local law enforcement in California has had for a long time, and other federal departments and agencies require as well.
I think we all agree, our viewers will say that makes a lot of sense. You know, it seems that Trump and the MAGA Republicans are going to politicize everything that you just said and said, well, that's because you want to dox them, when in reality, it's like, this is unsafe. Having masked individuals disappear human beings is unsafe for every person involved.
Y'all heard that right. Senator Padilla, how do you say his name? Padilla wants ICE agents unmasked and identified. Why? So mobs can dox them. This is nothing new. So, you know, they want criminals to be able to find their homes. And if anything happens to the families, the left would just call it unfortunate but necessary. This isn't oversight, not at all. This is state-sponsored sabotage. And they're funding it with your money.
I think his political analysis is wrong. I don't think it's unpopular at all to try to reform an entitlement program, to save it for the people who need it, to keep illegal aliens from getting welfare benefits they shouldn't be getting, to encourage people to go to work. I don't think these things should be shied away from by Republicans.
None of that is true. First of all, I think Medicaid
It's exactly true. It's exactly what's in the bill.
Federal law prohibits undocumented immigrants.
Then why are
from
$1.4
Medicaid
million
benefits.
on it? Why are
That's a figment of your imagination.
It's a figment of the CBO's documents.
Let me explain the facts.
It's in the CBO documents.
I'll explain the facts.
Is it or not?
Let me explain. It's not, actually.
No, you are lying.
No, that is not. It is not true.
Okay, hang on a second.
Inventing facts out of there.
All right.
So Medicaid is.
Hold on, guys.
Medicaid. It's political suicide for Republicans
I think
to
it's
get
political
Medicaid.
suicide to come on as a member of Congress and lie about what the CBO says.
So the majority of
people
who benefit from Medicaid are senior citizens and those with disabilities. Almost all Medicaid funding goes toward the elderly, the disabled, children, and working adults.
That's who it's for.
And that's
it's not for illegals.
those are the people for whom it principally benefits.
Scott,
it's actually more cost effective to provide preventative care than to have them overcrowd an emergency room.
That's a great position for your party to give free health care to every illegal immigrant. That's a great position for your party.
That is not what, I don't understand.
Well, you're saying it's better to do it that way.
Almost all of the program benefits senior citizens and the disabled.
You just said it was better to give illegals health care.
We're referring to state funds, not federal funds.
Every point that's
just illegal aliens. It also includes work requirements for people who choose not to work. Again, according to the CBO, which you deny the existence of, apparently.
I'm well aware of it. Republicans deny it. Republicans call for the abolition of the CBO.
Well, you were denying it tonight. So. Almost 5 million people.
I've heard you argue against the CBO till you're blue in the
almost
face.
5
well, red,
million
I guess
people
would be with you.
Who choose not to work.
It's not. That is false. That is like a figment of your imagination.
It's literally right here.
They're not. The percentage of people who choose not to work is less than 1% of all.
It's not percentage. I'm giving you
the non-working population is mostly students and caregivers.
Million.
Richie, that man lied, y'all. Scott Jennings brought the receipts, though. Illegal immigrants are getting Medicaid. Word, rather. 1.4 million of them, while veterans wait in line and seniors ration insulin. They're giving away free benefits, then attacking the Asians trying to uphold the law. And you thought that was bad? Try $840 million in hotel rooms.
The iconic Roosevelt Hotel has officially closed. No longer are migrants coming into New York City, therefore they don't need this shelter. Inside this shelter, 155,000 illegal immigrants were put up in this shelter from 150 different countries. Every night, we paid over $200 to house people inside this hotel for around 3.5 years. You add that up, that is a lot of money that we've spent funding these illegal immigrants who came into America illegally. If we, as a normal citizen, wanted to walk through those doors while migrants were living in here, we were told we could not come in here. Here, nurses worked 12-hour shifts, long hours. There were lawyers here to protect the people that wanted to claim asylum or perhaps wanted to get a job here inside New York City. They had their own lawyers, their own interpreters, their own caseworkers, even their own nurses, because many people came into America pregnant. Many people came into America with diabetes, cancer, AIDS, all sorts of illnesses. People came here, wanted to get help, and they got free help that we paid for. Also, there was a major processing center here inside this Roosevelt Hotel just down there, where National Guard have been on the scene for the past 3.5 years, checking migrants in as they came in. Also, a scary thing about this hotel is that Trinidad gang members lived inside this hotel, rolled these corners, and we allowed it to happen. It was actually kept as a secret. Not too many people talked about this shelter, but this shelter has housed over 155,000 illegal immigrants over the past 3.5 years, and it is officially closed. That is what we voted for.
200 a night, over 150,000 migrants, 840 million from your pocket. Makes no sense, man. And while they were sleeping in hotels, ICE was getting jumped outside of hospitals. Let that contradiction burn in your brain for a second. But don't worry. There's always time to find more guilt trip.
I need you to hear this. Alligator Auschwitz has been open for 5 days. I am Leam Sela Figura. We've been here at Alcatraz since Friday. There's over 400 people here. There's no water to take a bath. It's been 4 days since I've taken a bath. They only brought me a meal once a day, and it had maggots. They never take off the lights for 24 hours. The mosquitoes are as big as elephants. They're not respecting our human rights. We're human beings. We're not dogs. We're like rats in an experiment. I don't know their motive for doing this. It's a form of torture. A lot of us have our residency documents, and we don't understand why we're here. I'm on the edge of losing my mind. I've gone 3 days without taking my medicine. It's impossible to sleep with this white light on all day. They took the Bible I had, and they said, here, there is no right to religion. And my Bible is the one thing that keeps my faith, and now I'm losing my faith. This was reported by CBS News. This is not 1939. This is 2025. And we have people suffering torture in concentration camps on our land. What are we going to do about it?
Anybody else call Cat? Fake tears, fake email, fake abuse claims from a facility surrounded by alligators and free Wi-Fi. They called. Look, man, no, this isn't camp. I tell you that. It's accountability, and we know that's the word that the left hates. So let me get this straight: ICE agents are being shot at rather, and spit on, doxxed, but illegals are the victims here. We're feeding the criminals, funding the chaos. You know that these protests aren't happening randomly. Somebody's putting $1 behind it and blaming a few people who are still trying to enforce the law. That's not immigration reform. That's national suicide. And you still don't get it. You're not thinking.
Of making us believe in this scarcity mindset. So we have this thing where it's like, oh, if you send money over here, then I'm not getting the money that I need. So one of the things that it was easy for them to attack was USAID, because they were like, oh, y'all sending all them millions over there, we can have the millions. Not recognizing that USAID is literally not even 1% of our budget. They want you to focus on pennies. It's a lot if it was in our bank account, for sure, right? But legitimately, they wanted you to focus on that and be distracted so you wouldn't ask questions about the other 99.5% of the budget, about the money that's going to Elon. Like people really got like confused, right? Elon and Trump started to tell some truth when they started to have a little beef, right? And all of a sudden, once they...
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
You're doing the same thing you're accusing them of doing, which is distracting.
Support all of their bullshit wars. I never heard this lady speak out against war. She definitely spoke up on behalf of Israel. And she got the nerve to talk about USDA, which they use to infiltrate a lot of nations in Africa. You know, they funding the terrorists with that. Also poisoning mothers, poisoning their babies with this bad medicine, poisoning the food with this USDA. She knows it's all a big scam to seize control and poison populations with medicines and foods and things like genetically modified crap. She know it because she's very smart. That's an attorney. But she's talking about, but Elon and them, they don't want you to pay attention to the other stuff. The other stuff that the Democrats is in on too? Because the Republicans, you telling me they 99% is going to Republicans. There's 1 little percent is something the Democrats focused on? Finesse and a lie.
Away from other shit you could talk about. Then why'd you bring up Elon Musk? Why come you couldn't bring up our military industrial complex? Why not? We all know that's where the lines like, well, I know for a fact that half of our budget goes to military spending. Why would you bring up Elon and leave all this area undiscussed?
It was beefing and all of like the truth was coming out because Trump was like, well, we could save some money if we just cut your contracts. I'm like, I've been saying that.
I know you've been saying that, but you're saying it for political points. And even if you're right, why are we giving Elon Musk contracts? I don't know, he provides a service. Who would you rather give it to? Okay, but even if that's true, what the hell they got to do with USAID? Why shouldn't we be spending money on bullshit? Why should we? Make a case for why we should.
Don't let them divide you. I don't really care what you think about the LGBTQIA community. I don't really care what you think when it comes to abortion. I don't really care what you think when it comes to immigration. If you allow them to cherry pick you then at the end of the day, something that you do care about, one of the freedoms that you do hold dear.
Here it goes. Here it goes, black people.
Don't let them divide you. I don't really care what you think about the LGBTQIA community. I don't really care what you think when it comes to abortion. I don't really care what you think when it comes to immigration.
See?
If you allow them to cherry pick you, then at the end of the day, something that you do care about
is
going to be under attack. That's what happens. You get that people was like, oh yeah, kick them out. And then while they're going and kicking them out, the farmers is like, now wait a minute. I wanted you to kick certain people out, but now I'm going to lose my farm. Like, I'm.
See, this lady just said, I don't care. I don't care how y'all feel about the LGBTQ situation. I don't care how y'all, she said the LGBTQ. Oh, I don't care how y'all feel about the abortion situation and the immigrant situation. Now, she just picked 3 things that's near and dear and very serious to the black community. That's never been something you just brush off. Ma'am, you talking about some things that's not just, you can't just blow by us with that. Them are very serious issues. But she's saying, but if y'all just so worried about that, then, when it comes time to this other stuff, ma'am, we need to focus on our traditional values and things that made us great, ma'am. But now, if you focus on that, you're a bigot, you're a hypocrite. See, now, people like her done turn us into the biggest and the hypocrites if we stand on any of our ancestral teachings and our principles, because they say they have found a new way. That's a fact.
I'm telling you, our faiths are interlinked. So, of course, I care about all the things that I just said, but I'm telling you.
That's a lie.
That don't even try to convince people.
Our faith is not interlinked with illegals and migrants. That's not fucking true, ma'am. You're lying, ma'am. That would mean our faith is interlinked with MAGA and everybody else in the motherfucking world. Our faith is not interlinked with illegals and migrants. That's just not true. It's nonsense. The Democrats, they want us to believe that because Joe Biden looked them in their face and told her and all the rest of them black people, you're no longer going to be the priority. You got to get with the Spanish-speaking population. Yeah, as soon as he got in office, I told him that because they're gonna be the future. Because shit like this. So now people like her, she know where the money at now. Just go along with the migrants. If you go along with the migrant situation, you can keep a job in D.C., but you just got to let your people know they can't be focused on all that traditional black stuff. Their destiny is intertwined with the migrants. Bruh, you ain't pulling that shit, lady.
If they don't agree or what, it ain't about that. At least agree that you believe that you should be free in this country and recognize that they coming for you next.
There it is. That's why they're coming for us next.
This is the biggest lie. They come for you next. How can they come for me next when they haven't stopped? They after me right now. How it's like they're getting the migrants. They we'll get back to killing y'all and beating y'all and what they doing that? We still in the battle. See, this is the problem. This lady think that our war has been won because she has gained millions of dollars. She think we made it because she has made it. They coming for you next, y'all. Man, that's a finesse.
So let me get this right. People that are undocumented, living in this country without their paperwork, who've been working pretty much off the book, shit like that. Those people having the law be adjudicated. There ain't no new laws. There's no new immigration laws. So exercising the laws that are currently on the books that say, if you're here illegally, we're going to detain you and deport you. Using the laws that are existing on the books, that's what's been happening. It's not to everyone. Not everybody. Not even every Latino.
Listen,
not every Latino, not every African.
They had stopped beating us and lynching us and killing our women and locking up our men and kidnapping our kids and poisoning us. If they did stop for a second, for a day, for a month, and start attacking somebody else, we got every right to regroup, get our breath together, check on how many of us actually still alive, see where our loved ones is at. Get our barriers, get our mind right. We've been getting beaten, lynched, and we've been fighting a bloody war for hundreds of years. The shame on these people. Can we have time to regroup, ma'am? Man, we got to get right into this deadly fight with this other group who we don't know like that, who don't really like us like that because you say our fates are intertwined. That's disgusting, man.
No. To those people that are undocumented, many of those who have overstayed their visas, those who, so now they're going to come for us. You said they came for the LGBTQ. How'd they come for LGBTQ? I'm not sure. Oh, you mean trans in sports? That what you mean? Trans in sports? That's coming for them? Not letting them play? I don't think Miss Crockett, I think Miss Crockett needs a black card revoked. Yeah, I mean, they've been coming for black people since black people have been black people. Black Americans have been, the U.S. government has been coming for black Americans since black Americans have been black Americans. And I got this woman sitting up here telling us, well, you be careful now, because now they're going to come for you. I thought you got your first job. I thought you got your first job because you told them, I can relate to black people. And you're going to need me to talk to these black people they've been coming, because the U.S. government be coming for them. The state be coming for them, so I can help you by articulating to those people. Ain't that what you told me? You had this long speech about how that's how you got your first job. Not because you were amazing at what you did, but because you were a black woman and you could speak the language of the poor black people. Well, that implies that you understand that the government is coming for us. Now you hear 4 or 5 years later saying, be careful because they're going to come for you next. I thought they was already coming for us, Miss Crockett, and that's where the disconnection is. She's using this talking point that now we in trouble. We've been in trouble. And that's where the problem is. Miss Crockett, you're lying. You're a liar. Roland's a liar. Tiffany Cross is a liar. You guys are lying. The reason why they're shoehorning black people in with Latinos is not because they give a shit about us. It's because they want to focus on their new voter base. And that new voter base, and similar to Jasmine Crockett, where over half of her constituents are Hispanic Americans. That's really why she's talking the way she's talking. She's trying to stay in office. She want to get reelected. And this time she won't have Sam Bankman-Fried, the crypto thief, fraudster that's in jail now, who bankrolled her first campaign. He won't be able to bankroll the second one because he's in jail. So the Democratic Party, they're trying to group us in with Latinos and say we have a shared fate. But nobody shares a fate with black Americans. I don't remember you saying, but Latino people, you got to fight with black people because if they don't get to sit on the front of the bus, neither do you. Black people, you got Latino people, you got Asian people, you got to fight with us, with black people, because if they get discriminated, so do you. It's coming for you next. America came for black people, have never stopped coming for black people. We need to reject Jasmine Crockett and those who talk like her. It's self-serving. They're trying to pretend that they care about black Americans only because they want to focus on Latinos, and they don't want you to feel a certain kind of way because there's no focus on you. So now the only way to do it is they got to kind of try to do the people of color shit. And then when black people say, well, hold on a second, I'm not an immigrant. And I'm not undocumented. My parents were from here. What are you talking about? Well, that don't matter. You next, cause you ain't white. Where's that? Where'd you get that from? I just poured it out my ass to try to save the Democrats. That's the real answer. Let's say I had a last word. Let's hope it's the last word, though.
That's it. It's very simple. So I'm just saying, make sure that you stay as united as possible and stop seeking perfection in your politicians, because you will be let down every single time. There is no perfection in your preachers nor your politicians. No offense.
Thank you.
No perfection.
How about not being corrupt and not being a liar? Can we get that? Can you not lie and not gaslight and not word salad us to death like you just did for the last 3 minutes? Can we get that, though? You ain't got to be perfect. How about just not be a liar? and think people are stupid enough to buy that what you just shoveled. Which is 3 minutes of basically, black people, you need to be afraid. Because you can get deported too. You know, black people are fighting to have their farms. You know what they got also on farms now? They have machines that pick vegetables. Yeah, they got machines that pick vegetables. That's what they got. And not all farms rely on people picking fruit and vegetables by hand. You do know that, right? Okay. And a lot of the farms are subsidized to the point where they don't even really grow anything. They get paid not to grow. You know these things, right? Okay. Man. Long night, Johnson.
Even me, Lord.
Yeah, so stop
You said
seeking
even
it.
me.
Stop seeking it. You know how many times people wanted to talk about Kamala Harris and is she black enough and all this other stuff? It don't matter. How many black women became president anyway? Y'all was okay when the other ones wasn't black? Like, just stop. Just stop.
No, how about you stop, man? That's not why her race became an issue. It became an issue because people like you said we need to vote for her because she was black. And we said we don't need to vote for her and she ain't black. And then y'all got mad that we said she wasn't black. You were using her skin tone to say she was us, and she's not. You weren't even telling her to stand on policy. That's as dumb as when Hillary ran on, I'm with her and I got a uterus. And people are like, that's not enough to vote for you. That's why she lost. Y'all did the same thing, but the other way. You didn't run on the fact she was a woman. You ran on the fact she was black. And that just didn't work because her mama not black and her daddy is not a black American. He's Jamaican. And her mom is obviously Indian and Asian or something. That's obvious. Hence the garb, the Middle Eastern garb. So like it was you guys who made it an issue. Why can't we just couldn't run like a person? Why can't we just couldn't say, hey, I'm Kamala Harris. I'm the first Indian, Asian, Jamaican vice president. And I'm gonna do this for you, and I'm gonna do that for you. And this is how I'm gonna fix the country. This is how I'm gonna make the country better. These are things I'm gonna do. Instead of D.L. Hughley and Ricky Smiley and Steve Harvey and Ricky and Perry and whatever, you know, all these goofballs out here to tell us how bad we were for not supporting a black woman. That's why it became an issue. And no one's stupid. You made it an issue. You're one of the people that went around. You're the one that went around. You went around the country talking about she was black and dancing and shit. Who does that? Went around dancing, doing line dances and shit. This is embarrassing. And you're embarrassing. This is all, folks, this is disgusting. We shouldn't even have to have this. Why can't we just can't run and just be good at your job? Why you have to say, vote for me because I'm black? How about vote for you because I was on this policy that helps blacks? How about that? How about the other way? How about you run on natural way you look because you got brown looking skin, which is all she has. And that time she was with Willie Brown. We actually have a comedian being one of your chief surrogates, making a point that we should support her because she was sleeping with a married black man to get her career started. And he talked about that as if that was good. And what does that say about the people that thought it was? Monique voice. It was bad. I was hoping to just like leave you alone and move on to other stuff. You know, because you're not ready. You just keep talking to Jamal Bryant and keep doing them soft interviews. You would get destroyed in a real debate because you got nothing but talking points. And you try to make up your own reality. And you're really good when no one else can rebut you. And you just get to talk with the mic and no one gets to say nothing. And you get to make up your own reality. But those of us that know.
Because they allow you to play yourselves. They really do. They get in, and then all the while they got you critiquing her on whether or not she black enough, whether or not her agenda is black enough. Well, let me tell you, the one that we got is anti-black. That's all I do know. Right? So I'm just saying.
Anybody feel like Kamala Harris' agenda was pro-black? I know when she was Attorney General, her policies were anti-black. We all know that. Like, we did coverage on it here. I covered her for several years. Anti-black policies. The Attorney General, anti-black policies. It's very clear to say she wasn't going to do them for black people. I mean, what more? How more direct can you be? she just deliberately, she went to the camera and laughed and said, I'm not going to do anything for black people. That only helps black people. I'm not going to say that. Oh, man. Why do we have to go back through this? Why are you going on here, going on a rant and talking about things you, in conversations and topics you can't win on at all? This is horrible. You will never become a contender in the Democratic Party by doing that shit. You're supposed to stay away. Like, hey, man, I don't mean no harm. I don't know who your people are, but when you get in a boxing match, it's important to not lean into every uppercut. Yeah, you shouldn't stick your chin out for every punch and catch it with your face. Some of them you should block, and if you can duck a couple, that'd be good too. You just up here making unforced errors. Why are you going back over a loser? That's because you're hurt. You're hurt. You didn't get power through her. That's why you brought this up. Because anybody asks you no damn question about Kamala, you bringing up Kamala because your feelings are hurt still. That you don't get to, to have access to power by being a surrogate of someone who becomes president. That's a big deal. And I know that's why DL is still in his feelings. His booty's still hurt. He's still uptight. He's still hurting right now that Kamala lost. But y'all need to get over that shit because she sucked. Y'all need to accept it and stop denying reality. She was a bad candidate. She was a bad candidate in 2020. She's a bad candidate in 2024. You bet on the wrong horse. And that's no one's fault but yours.
Recognize that we will never give you 100% of what it is that you want. And that we are not asking you to be with us for life. We asking you, when I run this every 2 years, just give me 2 years, okay? You can dump me after 2 years if you want to. When you're voting for...
Dump her. I agree with her. Dump her. Dump her, Texas. Texas, give her what she asked for. She just said it. You can dump her. Dump her. Please dump her. Let her get a YouTube channel. Let her get it. She loves talking. She loves being the focal point. She want to be a star model. She wants to be a legislator anyway. Can't y'all see that? That's what she good at. She good at talking in circles and not making any sense. She want to be an actress. She's too tall, too short to be a model. But she, or I don't know. I don't think she want to be a politician. She's not good at politicking. She's gonna be loud and playing a role and pretending to be somebody she's not. It's not good.
Our president is for 4 years. Most of y'all stay with y'all spouses and y'all don't agree with them all the time. So I don't even know why y'all tripping. I'm just saying.
Jasmine Crockett for president.
Jamal Bryant is an embarrassment to himself. Yeah, he's bad, man. I used to think Al Sharpton was about as dumb as they get. But Al Sharpton's actually pretty crafty. Jamal Bryant is blatantly not good at what he does. Like, he's superficial and uninteresting in a creepy way. I don't know what it is, but hey, there are people that like him. I don't know why. Maybe he's a good pastor. I don't know. In the church, is he fun to watch? I don't know. But Jasmine for president. You're right. That it. Cut off.
Drops mic. That's it. 2028 is coming, y'all. Would you help me thank God for my sister? I am just glad for her life, for her assignment, for her heart, and for her spirit. You're watching the Jamal Bryant podcast. Let's be clear. I'm in the building with the first woman black President of the United States of America, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Next.
Well, look at that. He did get that part right. She would be the first black woman president. Sounds like maybe, is it possible that Kamala wouldn't come on the show? I don't know, it seems a little chippy there. Yeah, she's went on this whole thing about how you were wrong to say Kamala wasn't black enough. And then what does he do? He drops the thing and says, well, she could be the first black president. You know, there's talk that Kamala will run in 2028. And she just, oh, that's interesting. A little bit of tea there, huh? Oh, Jamal. Oh, Jamal. Let's give anybody a congregation, don't they? I should start a congregation. Yeah, I should start a congregation. I can preach. I get up there. Oh, Lord Jesus. What are we dealing with here? Get from me, Satan. Oh, Lord. I get up there and do some sanctifying. Whew. What's up, man? What can I get the like? Can some people hit the like button for me? Can we get some likes in the building, please?
ICE is busting up all kinds of places now because illegal people and weed. No, I didn't mean to slip that in there, but I do. And weed. Make sure you get that part too. Cannabis in California is legal with a lot of statutes and limitations on it. But what you're about to hear is some of the best, and I mean best presentation and masking of information you will ever hear in all of your adult life. Now, I gave you that up front. So when you do view what we're going to show you up until about 3/4 of the way through, man alive, you would think they're just talking about ICE showing up at somebody's house having a picnic with ice cream and a Barney costume. And they came in with helicopters and submachine guns. That's what you would think is happening. But I want you to be rest assured, it is anything but that. We are talking about things of the type of child trafficking and illegal migrant working and the finding of minors that are unaccompanied working at a weed farm. Now keep that in mind. Please keep that in mind as we watch the first 2/3 of this video. And please, I want you to understand this. I may break out laughing because I have to. I'm going to have to. Enjoy. Here we go. They're going to now act like I didn't say what I just said. ICE has showed up to a farm, just a farm, and they just started arresting people for no reason. Here we go.
Go back now to our breaking news out of Ventura County, where federal agents raided a farm. Then you see here clashes with protesters.
Yeah, all they did was raided a farm. For crying out loud, it's a farm. You know how many people have to eat from the food that they grow at a farm? What is wrong with you people? It's just a farm. And all of a sudden, these ICE people just bust in and started arresting folk. So, of course, we're going to protest and stop you from doing it. Good on you. Continue, sir.
It looks like there's a bit of movement there on the ground, and that shot you had there right here, live look from Skyfox overhead. Federal agents lined up right there, protesters on the other side.
Yeah.
It's been like this all afternoon. We go back live to Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez there on the ground in Camarillo. Christina.
Yes, that mean protest people. They're just invading a farm. Just a farm. Okay.
Yeah, they're getting ready to block more vehicles trying to come in. But really quickly, I want to talk to one of the main activists out here who has been helping people. Noemi Tingui, you have been helping people maneuver this, trying to find their loved ones in there.
Now, keep that in mind. Just as a side note, she's on the outside trying to help the people on the inside to escape what's going on the inside. Now, remember what I said at the beginning? Now is the time to remember it. Let's have a recap, shall we? This is part of a DHS investigation into immigration and potential child labor violations. Just keep that in mind. Now, what they did find was 10 minors working there, undocumented, 8 of which were unaccompanied. Now, remember that and listen to what she's going to say, please.
Tell me, what is the situation inside as far as you know? How many people, what's happening with their phones talking?
Yeah, it's a very horrible day here in the city of Camarillo in Ventura County. I work for a Mixteco Indígena Community Organizing Project, and a lot of our community is not showing up to their appointments. They're not going out, but we did get a call to our rapid response line this morning that Glass House, which is where a lot of our community works at, a lot of my relatives are work at.
Now, what she's saying versus what you see on the screen, do they seem to match up? Someone just not showing up to work. We're just trying to find our loved ones. Meanwhile, keep an eye on this white vehicle, will you? And the individual that just jumped off the hood of the car. That's a government vehicle. He's not a government agent, nor is he Tom Cruise working in the movie of Mission Impossible. This is just a natural day in the life of a DHS and an ICE agent, seeing a guy just surfing on your hood. Now watch what happens next and listen to her at the same time.
And what we're hearing is there was a lot of fear when we got here. We witnessed a lot of ICE lines blocking us from checking in on our loved ones. What we did witness was ambulances coming in and out throughout the day. And what we have witnessed too is that ICE has been
well, we've been gassed. You and I have both been gassed several times today.
Now, the reporter reminded her that they've been gassed. She didn't say it. She didn't say it. The reporter said it. Now you see when the tear gas kicked off? After the first throw, pow, break throws at glass, and then you see projectiles zooming by the ICE agents. That might be why tear gas was involved. Now again, she said, the lady, the one that they're interviewing, mentions that there are people in there, including younger ones, right? Okay, cool. Now, don't forget, I said that this was a part of an investigation into child labor laws, but not just child labor laws, forced child labor laws being violated at this facility. And notice they have not mentioned what type of facility yet. It's just a farm. But she did let a glass house where most of our people work. So you know that they know what's being grown there. They admit that. They know that minors work there. She just said that. And she's going to double down on it too, by the way. They also know that what ICE is there for is specific. They know this. And you'll hear them slip up and say it eventually after they're trying to mask it under the guise of it's just farming. Stop from messing with our farms. Here we go.
Exactly. Yeah, my eyes are stinging. My arms are stinging because they threw tear gas at us for asking them where they're taking our relatives.
That's not why they. we clearly saw why they threw tear gas at y'all, man. We have two eyes. We saw why they threw tear gas at y'all. Riding on the hood of the car, that's not your place. There are seats for that inside the car, and you weren't invited. Throwing rocks at the car, that's not how you get into a car to begin with. And then throwing projectiles at ICE agents. Don't tell me that you just went up to them, please, sir, can you please tell me where I can find my loved one? I came here just looking for a better life and they just disappeared. That's not what happened. That ain't what you did. Stop. How did they say today to young people? Stop the cap. Stop the cap. That's not what you did. Y'all blatantly know what was going on and you acted really egregiously and the cops had to act in accordance to how you acted. What we used to say back in the day, if you can't stand the smoke, stay out the kitchen. Okay, cool. Then don't be doing this.
Now, have you been able to get through to anybody in there? Because it doesn't seem that anybody, you said you were getting some text messages?
Right. There's been people here who've come up to me and just let me know that they've been in contact with some of their relatives. A lot of people haven't. What we're hearing is that a lot of people aren't able to text from inside. And that the people who have been detained, there have been a few people who have been located at the Camarillo Detention Center and then sent to the LA Detention Center.
I thought you didn't know where they were going. Hold up. Wait a minute. I thought you didn't know where they were going. Lady, be honest. You just said, we want to know what they're taking up. You just told us you had to. Now you said you know. You knew where they were taking. You didn't. So, in other words, you lied. Why are you always lying? Why you always? I mean, you know that song. Why? Just be upset. And look at the chyron at the bottom. Federal agents clash with protesters at Camarillo farm raid.
Do we have a sense of how many people they have detained so
There
far?
are hundreds of people who work at this glass house facility. From what I last heard is that maybe somewhere around like 40 or 50. I did see vans, white vans, exit this morning, and we have seen multiple ICE vans leaving through multiple dirt roads that can be carrying up to more than 50 people at this point.
Now, I like how they're painting it so warmly nice and beautiful, and they're just trying to stop things. The FBI in all of this issued a $50,000 reward for a specific person who showed up with a gun and opened fire during the altercation. That's not mentioned, though, because they were just there trying to find their loved ones. Now, I said again that California has a lot of restrictions, okay, about marijuana. Now, bringing in an illegal is breaking a second barrier. And having children work there, that's a third barrier you just broken. So why wouldn't they raid you? Why? Now, at least 200, nearly 200 people were arrested. Illegals were arrested, by the way, not 50. They came away with 200 illegals. 10, of course, we said are migrant children being in forced labor and potentially trafficked as well. Now, again, this is more than just a farm. This is not just being, we're trying to make sure we get food to your table. This is not farm to table at all. But wait, it gets better, so much better.
Now, at this point, real quickly, I mean, we've been here all day.
All day.
These people are not going away, and this crowd is getting bigger. Are you willing and planning to stay through the night if you need to?
Yes, we have to. We have to because no one's going to come out to save us.
Why would they save you? Why would anybody come out to say, you put yourself there? Ain't nobody come out and tell you, hey, you know what we need to do? Go out and then we're going to go. Let's go. And no, you put yourself there. And it's not like you just said, you admitted your organization knows this stuff. You know that they work. You know what they're working. You know what kind of job it is. You know what they're growing. You know it. And so far, you've been reluctant to say it. You know why? Because the empathy needs to come. You need that sympathy. You need that cry. They're abusing us. No, you exploiting children, fam. You out there using kids. Potentially sex trafficking these kids too. That is crazy work that you out here trying to act like the good guys. Wow. That's impressive.
The federal government is putting this violence on our people.
The federal government is putting violence on you? Look, lady, look. The federal government ain't putting no violence more than you put on them. Y'all rock throwing, jumping on cars, punching, shooting at them. What do you expect them to do? Just sit down like a little puppy in the corner and say, do what you want to do? No. You wanted that smoke. You literally got it. You wanted smoke. And when the ICE agents gave you that smoke, all of a sudden they're the bad guys. Nope. This is what you signed up for. This is part of protesting. Get used to it.
And there's people out here who are telling me my daughter is in there. My mom is in there. My stepdad is in there. What do I do?
Well, maybe don't send them to work illegally on a weed farm. That could be a novel idea. Hey, hear me out. If you know you're not having the papers to do a certain job, here's what you don't do. Go do that certain job, even though you know you're not supposed to. Secondarily, maybe don't go to a place where there might be child trafficking going on. Look at that. I solved most of your problems for you without a single tear gas can being thrown at your way. You're welcome.
Have you heard anything? So we're going to stay here until we need to.
Yeah.
So we're asking people to bring food, to bring water, so that especially prioritize the indigenous community members, migrant community members who are waiting for their loved ones who have been here all day as well.
Huh? So now you're begging people to bring food, but only bring food for the people that look like me. The rest of y'all can starve, but this needs to be prioritized. Bring it to us. We've been here just like everybody else all day. Why y'all need to eat first? Just let everybody eat. Bring a table out and just have a smorgasbord. But we got to make sure that we prioritize y'all. I'll have a question for you guys later in this video. When it comes to this, please remember the crowd. Please remember the why they're protesting. Please remember what they did to police cars. Just remember this. Okay, good.
We're prioritizing them so that they can get fed and they can get hydrated.
Thank you so much for talking to us. I know that they need you out there. I appreciate the information.
As soon as she said that, the interview was over. This poor reporter lady is about to get thrown under the bus twice. That was the first one. Oh, you can't be you're messing with the story, lady. Don't be talking about prioritizing the migrant. No, shh. Thank you for talking. Let's move on. Move on. It gets worse for her. Watch.
Thank you. And when she says, I mean, let me show you real quickly because the bottles of water.
Focus on the tear gas.
Move around here. I mean, people are coming through. The water, part of it is because of the gassing, but let me show you the milk. Come here with me, Gino. Let's see if we can do this carefully. Because as this goes on, more and more people are showing up. You can see that they have behind the vehicles, they're all hiding milk, which is what you use when you get gassed. They actually put that in your face and it does help a little bit. Although I gotta say with her, I've never seen gas like this. And
you never seen gas like that? He needs some milk. You ain't never seen gas like this. Well, here's a novel thought. Don't be around places where gas is necessary. Again, I'm a wealth of information today.
let me show you, because the line of vehicles of people just coming by and stopping saying they want to help, it's getting bigger and bigger. And these are not just migrant farm workers. I see Americans who don't speak a lick of Spanish saying that they saw this in the news, they want to see what's going on. So there is a lot of just people from the community. Now, I need to tell you, we did reach out to the DEA, and the DEA is saying they're not involved in this at all.
Oh.
This is a Homeland Security investigation, so they're deferring to them for any information. So
Hold on. So far, they haven't told you anything, right? You only heard it from me. You only heard weed from me. You only heard weed farm from me. You only heard cannabis from me. She just told you that the local authority, no, you ain't pulling us into this at all. This is no. This is a Homeland Security thing. Let them deal with it. You know why? There's an investigation going on, federal investigation of the kind that they're not going to try and get in the middle of, because this is a pretty big deal. It's a big deal. Want to know why the white vans are showing up? Because there are children being trafficked and exploited at this facility. And adults are showing up. Hear me out. Adults are showing up at a weed facility to protest hear me out. I want to make sure I get this right. In protest of ICE arresting people exploiting children. That'd be like you go into, and I'm going to make the analogy, get mad if you want, but I'm going to make the analogy. That'd be like you going on the street and a drug dealer who has weed, but it's, not weed, legal weed, because he didn't go through the government authorities to get it. And he's selling it on the street, and he's using a 13-year-old to do it. And the police show up, woo, 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 woo. And then a whole brigade of people steps in front of him. Don't you dare try to step in front. He's just trying to feed his kids. So what if he's using a 13-year-old illegally to sell an illegal drug? That's nothing. Stop being mean to that man. That's the level of delusion these people are under right now.
At this point, the DEA you were asking about is not involved. Live in Camarillo, I'm Christina Gonzalez. Back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, from what we're starting to hear, it's not really a DEA thing or even about necessarily the marijuana. It's about illegal hiring.
When you say the quiet part out loud, you forget that people are listening. If you watch her face, we're going to back up. Watch the face change. This one in particular. And this one. Okay. Watch the face change. I don't think they were expecting him to let that particular cat out the bag, because they were going to try and keep it as a farm issue. They were trying. And then he didn't let that go. Watch again. It's so priceless. Watch their face.
Yeah, from what we're starting to hear, it's not really a DEA thing or even about necessarily the marijuana. It's about illegal.
The mouth goes, man, Drew. So now the reporter in the striped shirt has to go to her backup plan to try and describe and justify what he just said. Watch.
Hiring. And this idea that there may be a bunch of undocumented people working there. Do we know of any of the people who are out there with their family members?
Look at your paper.
Are their family members here legally? I mean, do we know of any U.S. citizens that are getting caught up on this?
Man, look, the read that she's got on her face is okay. Nope. He's giving all the information out now. We were so close to finishing this interview. So close. So close. And then he has a drop about illegal and kids and come on, man.
Or is this mostly people who were here working undocumented and maybe this company was not filing the right paperwork or paying taxes, etc.?
You know, there's with so many different programs, it's hard to tell. Remember, you got agricultural visas, but yes, I mean, the people I have talked to, the majority of them have told me their families are not here legally.
Oh, you're going to leave that part out, though. That was just going to be executed, stage left, not mentioned at all. Just, okay, all right.
But we have heard of at least one citizen. I'm trying to confirm this. Several people are saying a professor from a local university who is a citizen was also detained for trying to help somebody who fell.
Oh, is that why he was detained, though? Like, so far, you've lied to me twice, okay? You lied, okay. And then you had a whole film going of people violently acting upon ICE agents and still wouldn't tell me the truth. And I'm supposed to believe that some random professor was just trying to help somebody to their feet and he got detained. All right. Okay, cool.
And then there were a couple of people who were saying, you know, my loved one is here and he had some kind of agricultural visa. Without being able to confirm all that, I couldn't tell you for sure.
Agricultural visa. I didn't know that weed fell under the agricultural visa thing. Hey, blame me. I didn't know. I thought, from what I've read about California law, that there was really strict rules around the growing and selling of marijuana. If I knew it was as easy as getting an agricultural visa, I'd just leave the country, come back and get myself an agricultural visa and go do what I got to do. I didn't know it was that easy. Are the kids getting those too? Did the 13, 14, 15-year-olds get an agricultural visa? No? Okay.
But I do think that there's definitely a component of what you're saying to that.
Definitely a component, yeah.
All right, Christina, thank you. And just noting, this is one of the biggest cannabis farms in California. The founder of it, I did some research here.
Oh, you did?
Came from the tech world and prides himself as being part of the forefront of this movement.
He just got notice. Why did you say that? If you look at his face, look what happened when she started to talk. He's being talked to right now about what she just said. Watch.
Christina, thank you. And just noting, this is one of the biggest cannabis farms in California. The founder of it, I did some research
he's
here.
being talked to right now.
Came from the tech world and prides himself as being part of the forefront of this movement.
Funny stuff.
All right, Christina, thank you so much. We'll keep a watch on this. Meanwhile, Governor Gavin Newsom releasing a statement this afternoon that reads in part, there's a real cost to these inhumane immigration actions on hardworking families and communities, including farm worker communities across America.
Hold on. Inhumane immigration actions on hardworking families. Gavin, you mean the same families that are now exploiting their children? That family? And by farm, do you mean cannabis farms? Is that what you mean? Do you mean perhaps the 200 people and children that was arrested because they were here both illegally and exploitatively? That is family to you. That makes a lot of sense, Gavin. That makes a lot of sense now. That is insane to me. That is crazy. Now, as for her statement, we want to make sure we clarify. As for her statement about agricultural visas, right? H-2A visas. It's a federal program, but it can't be used for legal employment in an industry that is federally prohibited. You get what I'm saying? So they can't just come in here and say, here's my agricultural visa. I'm going to work on this as a federal thing, but even though the states approve, you can't do it. That's not how you do it. You don't get that visa for that. So that's 5 lies already in one video. Amazing. Really, really epic. As for you, Gavin, I get the virtue signaling. I understand it. It's great stuff. Works for you normally. But by your definition, family should exploit their children and put them in places where they shouldn't be and use them forcefully for labor. That's family to him.
Trump's agents continue to detain U.S. citizens and racially profile Americans, ripping families apart and disappearing parents and workers into cruel federal detention centers to meet their self-imposed arrest quotas.
What U.S. citizens are being arrested? Or maybe the ones that throw rocks at the cars and jump on the hoods? They should be arrested right off the top. From the rip, bam. No questions asked. You jump on my hood, handcuffs, thrown in the back, straight to the hoosgow. No questions. As for ripping families apart, 8 of the children found were unaccompanied. So the people that hired them already ripped the family apart, Gavin. You are now protecting the people that ripped the families apart while accusing the other people of trying to save them from those people as ripping families apart. You mental. You are mental. Absolutely mental. But you see how they phrased it up to make certain people look bad. They're just working on a farm. They're just chillaxing. All they were trying to do is make ends meet. Why they got to mess with these people like that? I got family in there. I'm looking for my loved one. They weren't that much of a loved one when you're exploiting them as children, were you? You knew about the program being illegal. You knew because you admitted it. The lady did. Her entire organization works with that particular company to do what they are rating them for. Context matters, people. Context matters. Don't let them bamboozle you. If you hear something, look it up. Look it up, look into it, and don't just take their word for it. Farm does not mean what they're just insinuating. These are not just farms. This is illegal stuff they're dealing with. They're doing illegal activities on a federally mandated substance, and state-wide approved, yes. But as far as the federal government goes, so far, at least I've checked, no state approved child trafficking, have they? No. Oh, so they can indeed raid you for what you're doing. Anyway, whatever your thoughts are.
Is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of Intel Services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting US president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave. You're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interests. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained ourselves to believe that you can't say that somehow, that that's like too naughty and forbidden. And the effect of making that off limits has been to create a lot of resentment, and I'll say it, hate online, where people feel like they can't just say, like, what the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house. You have had all this contact with the foreign government. Were you working on behalf of Mossad? Were you running a blackmail operation on behalf of foreign government? By the way, every single person in Washington, D.C. thinks that. I've never met anyone who doesn't think that. I don't know any of them that hate Israel, but no one feels they can say that. Why? And I think the longer that we play along with it, the more subterranean and creepy and hateful the conversation actually becomes. So I think it's better just to say it right out loud. Did this happen? And of course, that question has been asked to the government of Israel, and their answer is, we're not going to tell you. And I think our answer should be, no. As long as we're sending you money, if you were committing crimes on our soil, we have an absolute right to know, did you do this or not? And yet everybody has been so brainwashed into thinking that's somehow an expression of hate or bigotry, when it's not. It's a baseline question that every U.S. citizen has a right to an answer on. What the hell was this?
Obviously, the entire world knows that Jeffrey Epstein was their asset. He was working for them, obviously, okay?
So recently, Candace Owens had a podcast about Jeffrey Epstein and his background, the truth about it, why it's so hidden and why no one wants to cover it, and who he was actually working for. So let's get Candace's take on this. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
So I'm going to slow everything down for you so you can truly appreciate how absurd this story is. First and foremost, and this is my favorite part of the Jeffrey Epstein story, is that he is a man who became a billionaire. And the strangest part about his billionaire status is that nobody knows how he became a billionaire. Yeah, they can't tell us that. That's my favorite part of the whole thing, is just like Chris, my editor, mentioned earlier, you don't pay 8 cents of tax money, and they'll be like, right here, my friends, you shorted the government 8 cents, but Jeffrey Epstein, we don't know where he got his billions of dollars. The real story actually begins with a man named Donald Barr. Okay, Donald Barr. And if you're listening to that right now and thinking, Candace, that surname sounds strangely familiar to you, well, it is because he is, in fact, Bill Barr's father. Bill Barr, who worked for the CIA and then became the U.S. Attorney General under George.
Now this is what make me think Trump knocked Epstein off his goddamn self. And it's looking more and more like Trump knocked Epstein off. And he thought he was going to grab that list and shake a lot of people down, but Benjamin Netanyahu had other things that he wanted to do with it. Because he appointed Bill Barr, this was his attorney general. Bill Barr went to that jail to say he was looking at the conditions of the jail before Epstein got whacked. But his father, I said this the other day, his father is the one who put Epstein in the game, gave him his first job teaching around young girls, but it was his father. What's the coincidence that his father put Epstein in the game, then Trump hired him to be his attorney general, everything come full circle, then Epstein get whacked on their watch. These two watch. Epstein got killed.
H.W. Bush, and then again under Donald Trump's first term. Yeah, that Bill Barr. His dad was Donald Barr. And his dad was actually a pretty interesting character, I got to tell you, because he published this book in 1973, a science fiction book. I want to be clear, it's fiction. And it was entitled Space Relations. And this totally fiction book told the story about a planet that is ruled by oligarchs who engage in child sex slavery. Wow, that is really weird. Per Wikipedia, they write, quote, "It has been noted that the plot of the novel anticipates the crimes of Epstein and his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell." And even more interesting, by the way, is that this planet that is engaging in this child sex trafficking is known as the Kossars. Let me spell that for you. Kossar, not to be confused with Khazars. But I did decide to look into the word Kossar, Kossar, and it does, it actually is a surname from Eastern European Slavic area. But don't let you get caught up here, okay?
Yeah, this is interesting. I haven't actually heard this bar connection, so I'm interested to see what she says about that. But I will say about what she said originally that, no one knows how Epstein became a billionaire. That's absolutely true. It is known how he acquired large sums of his money, though, and large sums of his fortune, because he worked for Lex Wexner as a tax specialist. So this billionaire, for some reason, hires this guy essentially off the street. He didn't have a major Wall Street background. He apparently was in Wall Street for a while. He was actually a failed math teacher that got dismissed because it seems like he liked to hang out with the students. But he got dismissed from that, and then he was picked up by Les Wexner, of all people, rich billionaire, connections to the Israeli government, by the way. And he made his fortune by owning Victoria's Secret, and the parent company of Victoria's Secret also owned many other companies. He gave several $100 million to Epstein, presumably because he helped him so much on his taxes in ways that, no one else could have helped him with. And this is just such a weird story and explains part of it, but we don't even have the full explanation for all of it.
Anyways, in this intergalactic plot, there is this group of people who are political extremists, and they are ruled by oligarchs, and they settle this colony in the middle of nowhere because they're political extremists. And they're actually, it says on Wikipedia, they are bored because they just have so much power, such absolute power. They never get in trouble for anything. They can do whatever they want, these Kossars, and they're bored with their power, and they have an ambassador that's helping them to be welcomed back into the wider empire, because the wider empire is actually not down with their slave-owning society. They don't allow them to kidnap human beings and to trade them. That's so strange, right? Very interesting story that Barr was, it's a totally fictional story that he was telling. Vice actually read the book, a journalist named Becky Ferreira, and she describes the novel as highly unsettling due to its depiction of rape of enslaved people, particularly teenage girls, and other coercive sex acts. The sex acts described are performed, quote, for the dual purposes of entertainment and controlled procreation. And she views the novel as sexualizing minors and fetishizing rape. That seems really weird. But Daddy Barr, wrote this book.
Well, interesting. I want to see how this connects to Epstein or Bill Barr, actually, and I'm sure she'll explain that. But, this is a fictional tale, but there are seemingly a lot of things that are reminiscent from what we've experienced the last few years with the Epstein story, isn't there? And that's only come to light even more in recent days when the Trump administration, when the DOJ and FBI released that memo saying that, one, there's no evidence that a client list exists, despite the fact that Pam Bondi's on film saying that it was on her desk just months ago, and that there's no evidence that he killed himself, of course.
I got to tell you something else about him. It's quite interesting because it does end up being a lot of what Jeffrey Epstein was accused of and was taking place was actually doing. At the time that his book was published, even more interestingly, Donnie Barr was the headmaster of a school. Wow, could you imagine sending your kid to this school? And then this guy publishes this book about child sex exploitation. Anyways, he was the headmaster of a school called the Dalton School in New York. And while he was the headmaster, a young Jeffrey Epstein was selected to become a math teacher at this school. Jeffrey Epstein, by the way, was just 21 at the time. Donnie Barr's the headmaster. Jeffrey Epstein becomes a math teacher. And I got to tell you why that's weird. First and foremost, because Jeffrey Epstein only had a high school degree. He didn't have any teaching certifications. He had dropped out of this mathematics program at NYU. Yet under Donald Barr's stewardship, while he's writing this book on the side, Jeffrey Epstein is plucked from obscurity to teach at one of the most prestigious schools in Manhattan. So prestigious, by the way, that today, tuition is $65,000 per year. By the way, I should tell you, Barr himself was a bit controversial. He actually made several unconventional hires at this school during his tenure. And soon after Jeffrey was hired as a teacher, he had to resign amid some controversy.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I actually have a background in education. My degree is in education. I've never officially worked in that capacity, but I can tell you, at least today, I can't speak to back then, it's highly restrictive about licensing, about acquiring a teacher's license in almost every state. And that being like the bare minimum prerequisite to becoming a teacher. So yeah, that's unconventional. A lot of unconventional things happen the rest of his life that don't really explain how he made such a fortune, but I'm glad she's covering this too.
I'm not going to get down that rabbit hole for you, but yeah, he's an interesting character. And you are probably not going to be shocked, but while Epstein was there as a teacher, he was inappropriate with the young female students. He attended parties with them. We'll talk about this in the future. Anyways, this unqualified, or at least underqualified, creepy Epstein, who only had a high school diploma, then magically gets a job in finance. Again, 0 qualifications. He just somehow became friends with the CEO of Bear Stearns. So in 1976, he joins this firm as a low-level junior assistant to a trader, because again, he doesn't have any qualifications. So he's just assisting, not even the executive assistant, the junior assistant to a trader. But magically, you guys, you're not going to believe me, just 4 years later, that junior assistant, Jeffrey Epstein, became a partner of the firm. I kid you not. He was made a partner of the firm at the age of 27 with 0 financial background. It's giving Emmanuel Macron. It's giving like someone more powerful is just kind of pulling me up through the ranks, and I'm allowed to do that for whatever reason. I don't know. That's just, I'm getting a vibe here.
Yeah, absolutely. In 3 distinct circumstances, not only being plucked out of obscurity to be a teacher, and now to be part of this hedge fund that he was part of on Wall Street as a junior trader without certifications. I don't know what existed back then, but, Sigma 7 certifications are necessary for, financial advisors for the most part. And there's other certifications that are required for that. Again, different time. And then later, he's plucked up out of obscurity by Les Wexner. I can never say the name. Les Wexner. Out of obscurity to do his taxes. And then that's why he got hundreds of millions of dollars. None of this makes sense unless there was some connection to intelligence services. The paper trail does not comport to reality in terms of how these things work. There's no explanation really for this happening outside of, what they call conspiracy theorists and what they say.
Just sounds very familiar to me. Anyways, just 1 year later, he actually had to leave that firm, even though he just made partner, because he was found guilty of an SEC violation. So partook in a little bit of fraud, very quickly had to resign. But it's all good because then he just started his own consulting firm, because obviously he's super qualified to do that, to start consulting for billionaires and governments, because that's what he did. He establishes like Epstein and Co. at the age of 28, and he begins consulting for governments and extremely wealthy clients. Some of those clients, by the way, who have embezzled funds from people. I'll give you just one example. This guy, Stephen Hoffenberg, hired Epstein in 1987 as a consultant for his Towers Financial Corporation. And while Jeffrey Epstein was consulting for Towers Financial Corporation, they happened to take part in the largest Ponzi scheme ever recorded until Bernie Madoff came some years later. Oh, darn. Once again, Epstein's just caught up in a little bit of fraud.
I don't know if that's the largest Ponzi scheme that's ever existed, because something called Social Security exists, by the way. But still, the point's well made.
That didn't give the other elites, the other millionaires and billionaires, and he paused to continue working with him. No, they just kept hiring this guy. And his most significant consulting relationship began with Leslie Wexner. Now, if that name sounds familiar to you,
here we go.
It has been alleged that Epstein made millions because he was managing Leslie Wexner's affairs, millions. Far cry from billions, but Leslie, you might recognize Wexner because he is the owner of many retail stores. Abercrombie & Fitch, Victoria's Secret, I think is probably the one that he's most known for. Lane Bryant, just the L brand in general. Leslie, for whatever reason, just felt that Jeffrey Epstein should just be given control of everything. Power of attorney, make hiring decisions, firing decisions. He really empowered this Jeffrey Epstein. And for whatever reason, while Epstein was empowered, when executives at the company would come forward and say, hey, this Jeffrey Epstein is kind of a creep. He's posing as a recruiter for Victoria's Secret models, and he's getting access to these women. That was completely ignored. Of course, we know what happens next. Epstein, or during this time frame, he is throwing parties for the elite of the elites. Everyone who wasn't anybody is obviously at a Jeffrey Epstein party. He is the guy to know. His sidekick there, Ghislaine Maxwell, we'll discuss her briefly in a bit. Fast forward to 2006, bad year for our boy Epstein. Bad year. In early 2006, Epstein was actually charged in Florida with multiple counts of molestation and unlawful sexual activity with a minor.
And he got off on a plea bargain by Alexander Acosta, who actually admitted that, hey, I was just taking it easy on him because I heard he was connected to intelligence. And that's a particularly damning statement that very few people bring up now. But yeah, Epstein had this rise to fame and notoriety that you couldn't make up in the most obscure novel you would ever write, the craziest movie, the most elaborate tale you could ever draw up isn't even crazy enough to support what actually happened to this guy in real life. And that's why so many people have so many questions about Epstein's past. And I'm really glad that Candace is exploring it here because, a lot of the things we talk about related to Epstein come much later. But let's see what her take is on 2006 and how this all played out. It was treacherous for the victims that he was a criminal and affected their lives. They never will receive justice in the way that they should because of the government cover-up of this. But 2006 was a horrific year in all of it.
Clear, the FBI was able to confirm for 34 minors. They were able to confirm their stories had been corroborated, that they had been abused by him. That number was then increased to 40 by the time he signed this really interesting plea deal. Okay. Now, to just let you know what he was up to, the details from the investigation included allegations that 12-year-old triplets were flown in from France, interesting place, for Epstein's birthday, and then flown back following the day after they had been sexually abused by him.
It's just so sick and twisted. It's hard for me to even continue watching this. My stomach's just churning at the monstrosity that this guy was and the sex ring that he conducted. And for the government to just conceal this under a rug, to pretend like there's no victims, like they don't know who he trafficked to, despite the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell is behind bars for 20 years with apparently no evidence to convict her because they won't release anything related to the victims. It's just absurd on the deepest levels. And I just had to pause and say that. It's just, it's sickening in so many ways.
It was alleged that the young girls were being recruited from Brazil, from South American countries, from former Soviet countries, Europe, and that a certain Jean-Luc Brunel, who ran the modeling agency, which was funded by Epstein, known as MC2, was supplying these young girls to Epstein. Now, Jean-Luc Brunel, again, we're not going to get sidetracked here. He's a French guy. A lot of things that are just going to cross with the Epstein and the French and everything we've uncovered about Emmanuel Macron. But we can't speak to Jean-Luc today because you're not going to believe this, guys. Jean-Luc got arrested, and when he was in a cell, he committed suicide by hanging himself. Yeah. So that's another dead end. He committed suicide, sadly.
Jean-Luc Brunel didn't kill himself. In this story, there's so many of those moments. There's Epstein himself, and there's Virginia Giuffre just a few months ago. committed suicide and killed herself, right? That's the narrative. But there's too many oddities in this to make sense of it. It's just too crazy.
Anyways, oddly, Jeffrey Epstein, despite everything, all of his guilt, he was delivered this amazing deal, caught red-handed. And yet, Alexander Acosta, who was then the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida, handed him a very light sentence, and the deal was incredible, okay? First and foremost, the deal granted immunity to any of his potential co-conspirators. So it's like they're investigating the feds. And they're like, okay, this guy's got something to do. Oh, these people, everyone's involved. We're just going to go ahead and grant immunity to those people. The prosecutors also agreed that they would keep the deal that they made with Jeffrey Epstein a secret from his victims so that the victims could not challenge it in court. So they just get a phone call. Found out, but Jeffrey Epstein, we already dealt with that.
Yeah, and they sure did grant immunity to everyone else involved in this sex ring, especially recently. That mantra and that precedent has held tightly throughout both the Biden and the Trump administrations, too, as we just learned from that DOJ and FBI memo. It's just crazy how this whole thing was treated. It's an obvious cover-up on so many levels. And you know why it's a cover-up? Because it reaches into the highest levels of our government and probably foreign governments. And probably a foreign government in the Middle East that Epstein had 2 very strong associations with, actually 3. Ehud Barak was a good friend of his, former prime minister of Israel. Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, a Mossad agent, a known Mossad agent. Les Wexner, associations with the Israeli government as well. That's what we're dealing with here. This is not, just some kind of whimsical, shoot from the hip mentality that we have in these associations. Occam's razor tells us what the most likely scenario was. And it was that he was an intelligence asset, blackmailing prominent politicians, because there's no more power that you can have over politicians than to have that kind of material on them to bend them to your will. That's what we actually really saw.
He actually signed what's known as a non-prosecution agreement with federal prosecutors. So in the end, he pled guilty to just 1 count of solicitation of prostitution and 1 count of procurement of minors for prostitution. And what they gave him was a sentence of 13 months in county jail. And I want to be clear that when he got sentenced this, he was allowed to leave to work at his office and to go for walks. In fact, this part is actually so incredible that I want to read this straight from the Wikipedia page because I can't even do it justice. Now, Wikipedia is just pulling, you can go and fact check these. This is from like the Washington Post, other sources, but it reads, while most convicted sex offenders in Florida are sent to state prison, Epstein was instead housed in a private wing of the Palm Beach County Stockade. That's the sheriff's office, just so you guys are clear. He was just housed in a private wing of the sheriff's office. And according to the sheriff's office, was for 3.5 months allowed to leave the jail on work release for up to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. So for 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, Jeffrey Epstein was allowed to leave. Now, when he was actually in his private cell, the door was open. Epstein's cell door was left unlocked, and he had access to the attorney room where a television was installed for him. Let me make that clear. So he is not only allowed to leave his room whenever he wants, allowed to leave the sheriff's office for 12 hours a day, including 1 day of the weekend, because it's 6 days a week. They also went through an effort to install a television for him in the attorney's room. Not even the attorneys got that, but they installed one for him.
They literally rolled out the red carpet for this villain after sexual offenses, after absurdly disgusting sexual offenses. Everything about this story doesn't make sense except for if there's a grand cover-up. And this is just another element, how he was handled after his conviction, after the plea bargain from Acosta. Just think of this. He was treated so differently than virtually any other criminal that ever existed, especially under these kind of charges. It's just insurmountable to not conclude that there's a cover-up here. And that cover-up stretches far and wide. It stretches throughout both political parties, all people of prominence that were involved with this. And we'll never get the answers that we deserve and the victims deserve, because the victims are being effectively forgotten. Not only forgotten, but essentially spat upon in all this.
Okay, great. That's before they moved him into their previously unstaffed infirmary. Now, the sheriff's office, if you're wondering what they got, Jeffrey Epstein, right before he turned himself over, he established this not-for-profit. And from that not-for-profit, while he was in jail, he paid the sheriff's office $128,000. And that was for extra service that they had provided him during his work release. And what extra services did they provide Jeffrey Epstein during his work release? Well, he wanted to make sure that his office, his off-campus office, was monitored by permit deputies and that their overtime was paid for by Epstein. And he made sure that those deputies that were coming with him to work wore suits and that they checked in his guests at his front desk. So the sheriffs, while he was going to work, came with him. He paid them for overtime. He wanted them to wear suits, and they were responsible for checking in his guests. This is while he's in jail serving his sentence, okay? Now,
yeah, he's treated like he's running the whole establishment. This is like Andy Dufresne, but with the power of the warden in Shawshank Redemption. But he's the one calling the shots here, despite the fact that he's convicted. He's basically being treated like royalty in this place, in this private wing with a television and with guests that he's operating. It's just too insane. There's so many angles of this story that are so unbelievable that no one could possibly believe it. Again, if this was a movie, no one would believe this.
Later, the sheriff's office would say that the guest logs were destroyed. So we don't know who they were checking in for. Anyways, Epstein served almost 13 months, if we're calling that serving, before he was released in 2009 for a year of probation on house arrest. Now, I want to be clear, house arrest for Jeffrey Epstein looked a little different, okay? While on probation, he was allowed to go on numerous trips because he doesn't have just one house, you guys. So he was allowed to take his corporate jet to his residences in Manhattan, in the U.S. Virgin Islands. He was also, because you can imagine he didn't get a lot of exercise in his houses, he was allowed to go on long shopping trips and walks all around Palm Beach for quote unquote exercise. Actually, I actually do think he probably had a gym in all of these houses. But the point is he wanted fresh air exercise. So he needed these long walks throughout Palm Beach.
So how is this a punishment whatsoever? This seems indistinguishable from how he led the rest of his life. He can go anywhere he wants, go to whichever resident he wants, abuse whoever he wants to abuse, because the abuse continued, as we know after this. Can just walk out on the street, go to any residence. Again, he was treated like no one else in this situation would have been treated. And I think there's reasons for it. I think, again, Occam's razor shows that he was connected to intelligence. And that's what Acosta said at one point. Again, that's been kind of obfuscated. That's been kind of ignored, swept under the rug, kind of spun in so many different ways. But that is the most likely tale here. That's the most likely lesson here. And that is why probably the Trump administration and the Biden administration have done everything they can to bury everything there is about this story.
Epstein was also allowed to use his own driver to drive him between jail and his office and other appointments. Now, you're probably thinking around now, why on earth would Alex Acosta agree to that? What's he doing? Why would you allow this man guilty as sin to essentially just run a sheriff's office for a few months and then do whatever he wants thereafter? Well, Alex Acosta faced a lot of pressure when Trump nominated him for Secretary of Labor. And he told reporters years later that it wasn't in his control. He said, quote, "I was told that Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone, and that Epstein was above my pay grade."
Yeah.
Excuse me. Above the pay grade? The Attorney General of the Southern District of Florida? Who exactly is paying Epstein? What colony of COSARs, what are we calling them, could be so powerful, almost bored with their power, if we're going back to this space book, bored with their power, that they would allow this to take place and have confidence, know fully well that even if they get caught, who cares? I mean, you'd have to be so powerful and so politically extremist, like that book suggests, that you could, like, I don't know, sink the USS Liberty, maybe shoot a sitting president in broad daylight while you're at it, and still have politicians referring to you as friends and allies. Anyways, let's not get lost here. There are some more interesting facts about Jeffrey Epstein. One, he had a working fake passport. That's incredible. He had an Austrian passport with a totally fake name that placed his residence in Saudi Arabia, and it worked. So yeah, he was a Fed. Obviously, he was very high up in the deep state, and he used this passport to enter countries throughout the 1980s when he was very young, the 1980s, guys.
Yeah, there's so many angles to this. He was certainly connected to some governmental agency, whether or not it was the CIA or Mossad, one of them. I think the most likely answer is Mossad, given his connections, given what Acosta said about this, and given who he hung out with. Ehud Barak on many occasions. Ehud Barak was one of his most frequent visitors when he hung out with prominent people. Les Wexner, obviously, and Robert Maxwell. We know that there are connections that exist. He was involved to some extent.
Including the United Kingdom, Spain, Saudi Arabia. He also had a very compelling interest in artwork, okay? And you've probably seen this. He had this artwork of Bill Clinton in Monica Lewinsky's dress above his desk. And that's interesting in general, because I don't know if you know this, but President Clinton was blackmailed. He was blackmailed by Israel because they wanted to get this deal done with the Palestinian Authority, and also were pressuring him to release one of their assets, Jonathan Pollard. Now, Jonathan Pollard, to give you a background here, was another agent of Israel. He was actually a CIA analyst who was found guilty and went to prison for 30 years for spying on behalf of Israel. So he worked for the US government, but he was spying on behalf of Israel. Anyways, this is according to the Times of Israel. Let's take a look at what happened. Netanyahu said to have offered Lewinsky tapes for Pollard. Okay.
Yeah, this is the most crazy angle about the whole thing, and Ian Carroll has talked a little bit about this too, but Pollard was actually convicted of spying for Israel within the CIA, and he eventually, his handler was pardoned by Trump, I believe on the last day of Trump's first presidency. I think it was January 20th of 2021. He pardoned Sellers, the handler of Pollard, for spying on behalf of Israel. But this angle is crazy too.
It reads in this article that Israel attempted to use tapes of the former U.S. President Bill Clinton's steamy conversations with intern Monica Lewinsky to leverage the release of Jonathan Pollard. That's at least what the book regarding the Clinton family was claiming. The book is entitled Clinton Inc., and the subtitle is The Audacious Rebuilding of a Political Machine. And the author, Daniel Halper, relies on the record interviews with former officials, together with a close analysis of documents that were termed the quote unquote Monica files. And it tells the story of one of the most prominent political families in the United States, being the Clintons. According to the author, the documents indicate that during the Y plantation talks, so these were plantation talks, it was held on the Y plantation in Maryland, okay, between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. And Bill Clinton was in the middle of this because, just always drama happening there in 1998. Yep. And Netanyahu wasn't getting what he wanted. So Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, our dear friend and ally, pulled Bill Clinton aside and he presses, first and foremost, for the release of Jonathan Pollard. This is directly from the Times of Israel article. I'm going to read this quote. The Israelis present at Y River had a new tactic for their negotiations. They'd overheard Clinton and Monica, and they had it on tape. Not wanting to directly threaten the powerful American president, a crucial Israeli ally, Clinton was told that the Israeli government had thrown the tapes away. But the very mention of them was enough to constitute a form of blackmail, Halper wrote, adding that, quote, according to information provided by a CIA source, a stricken Clinton appeared to buckle.
Indeed, and Netanyahu had reason to dislike Clinton because he had embraced what was called the clean break strategy, this mentality that they should actually get involved in wars, regional wars within the Middle East, rather than to subscribe to what was known as the Oslo Accords, an agreement to maintain peaceable relations with neighboring countries that they hadn't before, including Egypt, which has mostly been peaceable, their relationship with Egypt since the 1970s. But that was a break. The clean break had decided to make war with these countries, overthrow them. We don't have to make peace with them anymore. And guess who we're going to get to enlist to help us with that? The United States. So what they did was embrace the clean break strategy. But here's Bill Clinton in the 1990s essentially promoting a dual state solution, a two-state solution that would include a Palestinian state. Now, that seems like an extremist position now, but that was the position of several U.S. presidents, actually, at the time. And now if you bring that up, you're just a Hamas sympathizer, right, if you have that idea. But back then, that was not good enough for Netanyahu, who wanted to eliminate the Palestinians and wanted to eliminate the possibility of a Palestinian state. And all of his policies since then have followed from that dictum, the clean break strategy. So, Bill Clinton was a thorn in his side to some extent.
Our friend and ally is at it again, you guys. Yep, they're at it again. Hey, just want to let you know, I have tapes of you with Monica Lewinsky, but I'm going to throw them away. Oh, I don't know. Why do you have tapes of what took place in the White House? What's going on? Should we ask questions? No, we shouldn't ask questions. We should never just ask questions. Anyways, yes, obviously, the entire world knows that Jeffrey Epstein was their asset. He was working for them, obviously, okay? From Ghislaine Maxwell and her father's involvement with the Mossad and who attended his funeral. Leslie Wexner, look up everything that he donates to. I mean, he's essentially, he works for Israel. This is like a known fact. But you guys, I want you to be calm. It's all good. Because now the Department of Justice has come out and they say that Jeffrey Epstein, he had no list.
Yeah, of course they did. But bravo, Candace Owens. This is one of the best examinations and analyses I've seen on Jeffrey Epstein's life and his background and kind of his rise to power and his fame and all the absurd things that happened in the lead up to 2019 that we don't get covered in other places, especially in regard to what Acosta said, his connections to various people that were not only Mossad agents, but associated closely with the Israeli government. And we'll never get all the answers that we deserve. Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are part of it. Trump's part of it. I hate to say that. If you're a Trump supporter and support him for the release of the Epstein files, well, you're not getting it. And I'm not gloating. I really wish that would have happened. I truly do. But it's as Dan Carlin says, it's a big club and you're not a part of it. You're not in the club. I'm not in the club. You know who is? The people in power that are protecting others that are in power that were involved in this sex trafficking ring. And it's probably government officials, lobbyists, and people of prominence throughout the U.S., throughout the UK. We know Prince Andrew was involved in this whole thing, and probably other countries as well, including Israel. So Jeffrey Epstein, he deserves to just be rotting. And I hate to, I'm a Christian and I don't like to say that about people, but if there's anyone that deserves it, it seems like it's Jeffrey Epstein. And man, his victims will never get the justice they deserve. And that's probably the worst part of this whole thing, is that the victims are just this afterthought. They're pretending that they don't exist and the clients don't exist and no information exists. And we can't divulge anything now except for this stupid video that they released that has a time skip of about a minute and a half. Even the video that they carefully constructed and edited for public perception to say, hey, he really did kill himself. Not only doesn't it show his cell and himself in the cell, it doesn't show that, of course. Those cameras malfunctioned, right? Kash Patel seemed to say, oh, no, they didn't. We have the footage. You're going to see it. That didn't happen. We saw outside of his cell, the commons area, where there's a timestamp jump. And it's not the 10 hours that we expect, by the way, if it's the entire night's duration to show that no one entered. There's so many holes to be poked through this. It's crazy. I would hate to be Caroline Leavitt right now trying to field these questions in a way because, you know, corporate journalists are not going to ask the most pressing questions about this. Steve Doocy, to his credit, actually asked a very good one about the inconsistencies yesterday, and she just spun it. She deflected it. I feel like Trump's most zealous supporters won't ask many questions, but you can tell. Just look at social media right now. Not all of the conservative influencers are very happy about this, and there's some significant pushback. What needs to happen is more clamoring over this, more talking about it. Do not let this story die. They betrayed you. They were involved in a sex trafficking ring. Epstein's true story is being swept under the rug, and you're supposed to swallow it just like you swallow the war propaganda and the propaganda about COVID and the lockdowns. That's what you're supposed to do because of this. But I do want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below. Is Candace Owens right? Was Epstein working for Mossad? Was he working for the CIA? What's the most under-discussed part of this entire story? Let me know down below in the comments.
It happened, folks. Donald Trump has cracked under pressure with all of MAGA saying, what the hell are you doing with those Epstein files? Why are you covering up the list? Donald Trump said, you know what? Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, they did the list. They're responsible for it. This is fake news. And everybody was like, huh? What are you talking about? And Donald Trump's like, yeah, the list is just a hoax. And it was written by Obama and Clinton. So why are you going to listen to them? And people were like, what? What are you talking about? You've been saying that this was a list that you were going to release. And Donald Trump wrote this message right here. Mark the day, mark the moment where he just blew up MAGA. And I think for good. Here's what Donald Trump posts. He goes, what's going on with my boys? And in some cases, gals, they're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it. All over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who con the world with Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more? They created the Epstein files, just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. And now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Just pause there for a second. You're saying Hillary Clinton, Obama, and James Comey created the Epstein files and it never actually existed? So let me get this straight. So you and all of the MAGA people have just been grifting and lying about a sex trafficking ring. That was what, Donald, were you being sarcastic? Were you joking about that? Were you grifting with that? Or are you on the list? Because y'all said the list was real. Pam Bondi, your attorney general, said it was sitting on her desk. Let's go on and read it more. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? Why wouldn't you just release it right now? If you have it, wouldn't it follow that you would release it? By the way, Democrats, Biden, Obama, they didn't make their main issue releasing the Epstein files. That was your issue. That's what MAGA was out there saying every single day. And not everybody, Donald, is as vindictive as you that just use things to destroy their political enemies. You know, other politicians, they do things like, try to pass laws that benefit the people. You know, Biden was focused on the Inflation Reduction Act, the Infrastructure Act, the American Recovery Act, things that actually led to a manufacturing boom that you've since destroyed and gutted and ripped away healthcare from people. Other people had different priorities, but your priority, Donald, was the Epstein list. Let's go on and keep on reading. He goes on to say, they haven't even given up on the John F. Kennedy or Martin Luther King Jr. files. No matter how much success we have had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons, it's never enough for some people. And I have to fact check this right here. What you did in Iran was basically a failed mission. According to Israeli intelligence that was released recently, Iran's able to have a nuclear weapon pretty soon. Our own intelligence says that Iran would be able to have a nuclear weapon in about a year. They moved the uranium before the strikes took place, and Iran was able to actually hit the Al Udeid air base in Qatar, and they were able to hit a geodesic radar dome for the United States, which you also covered up, and I've covered here on the Midas Touch Network. You claimed that all 14 of the ballistic missiles of Iran were shot down, where one actually hit our base, and you were bragging how you invited Iran to shoot our base, which I think is impeachable in and of itself. You go on to say, we've achieved more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in 100 years, and we have so much more to do. Pause there. If by achieved you mean destroyed America's standing in the world, sure. We are saving our country and making America great again, which will continue to be our complete priority. The left is imploding, exclamation point. I don't know about that, Donald. Seems that you're imploding right now. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals, instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Radical left? This was your issue. This is what MAGA talked about over, and you promised. You brought in right-wing influencers to the White House who held up a binder that said the Epstein files phase 1, and there were going to be other phases. That's what your administration did. Go on and read it over and over again. It then says, let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she's looking into as AG, and much more. 1 year ago, the country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Hear what he says. Let's not waste any time on Epstein. Nobody cares about it. And he went from saying that the list doesn't exist at all to now he says that the Democrats, Obama and Clinton, created the list. And that's where you're going with this now. As Nick Fuentes, far right-wing extremist influencer, as he says, so now Trump is claiming the Epstein files are a Democrat hoax. LOL, MAGA is dead. Good riddance. A lot of accounts look like this. We've been betrayed. There's no working around it. No way to spin it. Nothing. We were promised full disclosure from Trump, and all we've gotten were lies, obfuscation, and outright scolding for even asking. You go and look at the responses to Donald Trump's social media post, and they're like this. This is going to cost you so many supporters, I being one of them. I've been to multiple rallies and was even there on J6. This is one of the main things that needs fixed. Our two-tier justice system needs to end. We, the people, are tired of it. They can't be charged with child trafficking without there being perpetrators. He then goes on to say, another comment, we want the elite pedos exposed. You promised us that. Pam promised us that. Kash promised us that. Now it's our fault because we want that promise fulfilled and call Pam out every time she lies. What else has she lied to us about? You're so close there, Christy, but you realize it's Donald who just posted that. You're very wrong on this one, says another post. You are losing too many in your base. Have an aide collect what we are saying all over social media. Pam Bondi has not been telling us the truth. Her story changed each time. Sir, you need to listen to us. Are you aware how long and hard many of us work to get the truth? We refuse to give this a pass. For us, this will not go away. This is about the children. Mr. President, you did make a promise. Just saying. And they're all comments like this. Laura Loomer Donald Trump's, one of Donald Trump's top right-wing influencers, said, people make their own choices and decisions, but mark my words, the lack of actual results at the DOJ and lack of transparency that translates into incompetence will cost the GOP House and Senate seats. Don't say I didn't warn you. To which others responded, are you afraid to just address Trump directly? You've been calling for Bondi to resign or be fired all week. Now you are lost for words. You are looking just as fake as all these influencers you've been going at. Laura, the lack of transparency is coming from Trump. Wake up. Again, that's what we're seeing from the MAGA influencers. Here is what a Democratic Senator John Ossoff had to say at a rally he just held, where he leaned in and addressed that Donald Trump's a sexual predator who is all over Epstein's files, and that Trump is covering up the Epstein list because he's all over these files and because Trump was Epstein's best friend. And Mar-a-Lago was used as the location that Epstein would traffic girls from, like Virginia Giuffre, who recently died by suicide. Homeless, underage, 17 years old, worked at Mar-a-Lago after she was homeless, got a job there somehow. Ghislaine Maxwell found her, brought her to Epstein and trafficked her. That's what happened at Mar-a-Lago. That's what went down.
President Trump promised to end the wars. He promised to release the Epstein files. Did anyone really think the sexual predator president who used to party with Jeffrey Epstein was going to release the Epstein files?
So you saw what Ossoff said, right? Okay, now here is Prem Thacker, who goes, all right, we're releasing the Epstein files day one. No, there are no Epstein files. Wait, here's video proof nothing happened. Okay, we had to edit the video. There are no Epstein files. There are Epstein files, but the Democrats are the ones who made them. Why do you care so much about the Epstein guy? What are files? What are we talking about? As George Conway says, it's just so odd our stable, geniusy president is acting as though he were in sheer hysterical panic when he knows, and we all know, that he has nothing to fear from the Epstein files since he had nothing to do with Jeffrey. Oh, wait, let me put some more thought into this. As Josh Gerstein says, even if the White House wanted to put out this fire, this tone from Donald Trump's post is not the way to do it. Trump's instincts are off here. That's the status of everything, folks. We'll keep you posted.
Kofi, follow me